There we go. And we are live with our last comic talk episode. This is kind of a comic talk episode. It's an unofficial comic talk episode. We are here to talk about the best comics of 2023, brought to you by Comic Talk. I'm your host, Dimithri Perera. And if you're watching us live, you're watching us on twitch.tv/The Keeg Show or youtube.com/The Keeg Show, or you're listening to the podcast wherever you get podcasts from. We got two awesome guests here today, both of which who have been on on Comic Talk before. Comic Talk is every Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. We got Michael Meade, aka
Just go for it, yeah.
Mike's Comics Life / For the Love of Comics. It's been more than a year I've been telling you to that's
one of my 2024 goals
is
to come up with, to satisfy this need that you have for me to have a
why don't you just do Mike's Comic Life on everything?
I could.
You just don't like it?
I don't know. It doesn't speak to me yet, so it's not crazy for me. But anyways, thank you for inviting me on.
I'm glad you're back.
Such an honor to be
You've been working hard all year, man.
I've been trying to do stuff.
You deserve some time off on this show talking about your favorite comics from this year.
The things we love. Yeah, this is phenomenal. Thank you very much.
Can we just point out, I know people can see it if they're watching, but if they're listening, they can't see. Mike is doing the show from his own comic shop, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, since the beginning of the year, you have been working to did you open up at the beginning of the year?
I've been setting it up. We just opened up in November, actually.
In November. So you have been working all year to make this happen. Now you're there.
Yeah, I had to do something here. I'm always here. So
first of all, how's it feel?
I mean, it's dream come true, man. That's kind of like what I've been wanting to do for the past almost 20 years now. And so I finally got a chance to do it. I went for it, and will it succeed? I don't know, but I'm having a good time as we're going. So I think this is phenomenal. This is what I want to do. So I like it.
I'm as an outsider, I've been really excited watching the journey. I'm sorry that I kind of just took over the hosting.
It's all right. It's all right.
I thought it was cool, and I really wanted to.
It is cool, and I'm proud of Michael / Mike as well.
Thank you very much, both of you. I appreciate that. It means a lot.
Have you guys been? Well, no. Let me introduce my second guest. We got Drew Maxey, aka Drew Deficit, spelled with an X in between Drew and Deficit.
I'm here. I'm alive.
Yeah.
Woo! Here we go.
That's it. I bought a shelf today.
Buying shelves is cool.
I went to IKEA. I bought a big shelf.
There you go.
How tall are we talking?
For
the podcast listeners, you gotta spin us a yarn, weave us a story.
So I'll just say this. I think it's the biggest shelf they got.
Oh dang.
Oh wow.
So it goes
That's a lot.
I needed some storage. I have so many comics that are just out and about that don't fit in the boxes. I don't know if you can see, I always got these boxes behind me, right? And then I just have stacks of stuff that don't fit in there. So I've been getting smaller boxes, but I don't know what to do with the smaller boxes. So I'm putting them in the shelf, which is now behind the couch. It might look really stupid. I don't know, but we're trying things.
Yeah, I'm with you. I've been buying shelves. I've been buying shelves also. Putting comic books on it. I went on a bender buying comics. Bought $500 trades. From cheapgraphicnovels.com.
That's what's up.
But then what you realize though, you think $500 of trades is gonna be like a whole shelf's worth.
Like a pallet worth.
But it's not. It's one row on a shelf. It's heavy, but it's,
The kids these days are all interested in omnibus, right?
Oh my God, yeah.
The omnibus books. That's what's hot right now. Did you buy a lot of omnibuy?
I got one omnibus because I didn't want to look up the plural of omnibus. So I bought one. So I wouldn't have to say it wrong. No, I bought one. and that was only because it was on sale. It's funny because I didn't even like this crossover event. I didn't, but I got it. It's the DC 1 million omnibus.
Oh wow!
Oh my god, I love the 1 million.
I've read.
I'm so proud of you.
I have the DC 1 million trade, which is just Justice League, Justice League 1 million books.
Yeah.
But then I got the omnibus, which is about a little bit thinner than my head, right? Like it is a thick boy.
Robin's a robot monkey. I love it.
What'd you say?
Robin in the year 1 million. He's like a little robot monkey.
I don't think he's a monkey. I think he's just a robot.
Or is he just a robot? He's just a robot.
Yeah.
He's just a little robot guy.
Dude, I thought we were gonna circle back, do a call back to Thursday night. Does Robin Robot Monkey count as a monkey in comics?
Oh, if you but in this, yeah,
He's not a monkey. If he was, yes.
Does he count as a monkey character? Yes, I think monkey is an aesthetic.
We had a whole
It's
conversation.
an aesthetic. Yeah, exactly.
It's not a taxonomy, you know?
We had a whole conversation on Thursday about like monkeys in comics and how most of the time they're just apes.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
sure.
like, what are the actual monkeys?
Chimps and gorillas, right? But like chimps and gorillas aren't monkeys.
Right,
But I'm
yeah.
saying monkeys are an aesthetic. It's just a way of life, man.
Monkey,
Well,
monkey is
there's
definitely-
Hit Monkey.
Right. We brought up.
We
Hit
talked
Monkey.
about Hit Monkey. We talked about Ampersand from Why the Last Man.
Why
Yeah.
the Last Man?
It was, both of those thanks to Carson in the comments.
Yeah, Carson was in the comments. I brought up the Wonder Twins pet monkey. He's an alien monkey, but he's still a monkey.
He's an alien, but he's still a monkey.
Right.
Sure.
But
I think that counts.
bring it back to DC
I
1
think it does
million
too.
before we move off of DC 1 million is just that like it's so far into the future. Like Legion of Superheroes at least is relatable, but DC 1 million is so far into the future that the impulse of Young Justice 1 million is like a sentient thought.
Yeah. It's getting you to think, man.
He just
It's
jumps
getting you to
into
think.
brains. That's what it is. He's so fast. He is thought.
Yeah.
I hate.
Yeah.
I
don't
well, I
know.
don't hate DC 1 million, but also
I love Our Man in that because he comes back to modern times too. He comes back in time too. So,
Yeah.
but Our Man there's good. He's an android, kind of. He's a robot.
I'll give
too.
you a little bit of inside baseball. You ready?
Yeah.
So when we were gearing up to do putting the finishing touches on Justice League Cosmic Chaos, which is in stores now for all
Yes.
consoles. We the head of the art department was asking me for suggestions for like different costumes that we could unlock. Just based on like different DC lore and stuff like that. And when he sent me the list, this was on his list, not mine. I can't remember if it was Superman or if it was Batman, but one of them was just like he was pushing really hard for the 1 million costume.
Probably Superman.
I
Because
think
he's
I
all
like
gold,
I like Superman. Well, I
right?
like Batman's too. He
I
looks like
think I think it was Batman. Batman's the one that has like the covered face, right?
yeah. I was about to say it's just like but oh my god, what's his name? Batman. Yeah, Chase. Thank you. Yeah.
Oh.
And if I'm not mistaken, DC basically just like nixed it and said like, no, we don't want you to use those costumes or for whatever reason.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's
DC's
odd.
all these comic shops or comic companies. I don't know the reason they do what they do. Like Drew and I, we did the last episode of Comic Talk. What was my theory? Oh, that they've been nixing the Bat family in the comics in order to bring them back up again. Like the only Bat family that has a book right now is Nightwing.
Yes.
Yeah.
To
And
bring
I
them
think-
back up where? What do you mean?
I think they're gonna make Bruce a family man. I think they're purposely moving him away from being a family man so that they can bring it back. Because super families are all the rage, which I love. You get what I'm trying to say?
You think Zdarsky right now is tearing down the Bat family to build up the Bat family?
Yeah.
Well,
it doesn't feel that way to
mean,
me, but I would love that. I love the
I'm-
Bat family.
I'm just saying, where's the Bat family right now?
I don't know if it counts. Batwoman is in Outsiders.
Outsider. Yeah.
She
I mean,
definitely
she-
counts.
So
And so is,
it's
so is
not,
Batwing too.
it's not her book, but like
I think with the events of the new Golden Age, and Huntress coming from the future, I think that Batman has a future as a family man. And I think that, like, when I'm saying family man, I mean, maybe he's like, maybe, I mean, this is just my dream, is that
Totally.
Bruce chooses to step back as Batman. Not he's disabled, none of that. Not like some
Not
rando,
beyond.
he
Not
forgets
beyond.
how to fight. Somebody's hypnotized him, so he forgets, and like he's like, I can't fight anymore. Someone else has to be Batman. Or he gets super aged like Captain America did. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying it's stronger when love is a choice. And we're going
Yeah.
crazy with this.
I mean,
with this
totally.
episode. So that's what I'm trying to say. He steps back to train whoever's next.
I would love that, but then do you lose who Bruce is?
No. Well, it depends. It's just like when
It
people
depends.
said Captain America in Endgame going back in time and not fighting is antithesis to his character, right?
Sure.
People said that him going back to just have a nice life with Peggy means he does not fight, blah, 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 blah. Does that go against his character? Can he see the injustices that are going on and not act up? I personally think he was acting up in the past, just in secret.
Sure. I think people are putting together both the comic book version of Captain America and the movie version of Captain America, because
Right.
if you pay attention to the movie version of Captain America, I think that's perfectly aligned in his character to
Yeah.
go back. If
Yeah.
we're talking about the comic book version of Captain America, I would agree with the opposite. I was like, no, I think Captain America in the comics would stay, and because he sees that the people need him here and need a leader and a need for him being here, so he has to do that. Same thing with comic book Batman. I think taking away his mission changes the character. So is
Changing
that
his
what you're
mission.
wanting to do?
No, keeping his mission, but changing his tactic. That's what it is. If the goal is prove to Bruce that his Batman tactic has gotten as far as it needs to go, now you change tactics. Bruce is a smart guy. Change a
He
tactic,
is.
right?
He
If the
is.
tactic is instead of one Batman, why don't you have 12? Like, you know what I mean?
But he wouldn't put people in danger though. That's also
not
him
in
as
that
well.
way.
He would make, like in Kingdom Come, he would make an army of bat robots.
Yeah.
If you're going in that direction, like
That's
to
the-
be more efficient.
That's a super psychopath Batman. I'm talking about a Batman that says, I see myself in each of and every one of my kids, but they're going to have a better life than me. But that doesn't mean that Gotham goes without heroes. Gotham still has those heroes, but we're just greater than the sum of our parts.
I can see
You
that
know what I'm
kind
trying
of.
to say?
I know. I totally understand. I think that would be a great Elseworld. I
Get
think
at
that'd be a phenomenal
don't
Elseworld.
Elseworld my DC Prime thoughts.
I don't
How
know.
dare you.
I mean, because that's not what Chip Zdarsky's, in my opinion, though. That's not
Yeah.
what Chip Zdarsky's writing either, though.
Yeah.
Like, look at what he tried to do with Jason. Like, he's trying not to get them to fight anymore.
Right.
He doesn't think that they're capable of protecting Gotham. He doesn't want his family to fight.
But I mean,
But
I think that was also out of
But
they're
yeah,
writing
yeah.
him out of character in a weird way, right?
The whole thing about Batman right now is that he's not really all himself. Like, he's kind of being piloted by the Zur-En-Arrh multitudes at this point. And so I think once the end of the end of the Zdarsky run is going to kind of have him reflecting on I wasn't acting like myself. I wasn't being the good father that I needed to be. I'm going to bring you all back. I think that at some point, this is what I'm hoping, that everybody is just like, oh, it's okay, Bruce, except for Jason, because I think that Jason really needs to go back to kind of being a villain again.
I also think Jason should be a Batman villain, like specifically.
He's
Batman villain.
so much more interesting as a Batman villain.
He is, but I don't want that. I don't want him to go back to being a Batman. I'm fine with him being on the outskirts of the Bat family, like he believes in killing. Okay.
I'm okay with him being more heroic if they can just find somebody to write him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because,
I completely
like-
agree. Well, that's
like-
always been my issue with any of the Bat family when they show up in the Bat comics, right? The Batman writers, in my opinion, never seem to know how to write the Bat family. But if you go into their own books, they have a much deeper. I mean, because you can tell their own story, right? The Batman comic is for Batman, right? That's the
Sure,
point.
yeah.
But you would think they would have more of an essence of their characters in the Batman book, but they don't. They always revert to the Bat writers, always revert them down to their base characteristics, right? Jason always ends up being this like bad boy in the back making quips.
I think that it's entirely possible that it's just Batman writers doing that because, you know, that's just like not the focus. I also think there's an argument to be made that that's how Batman sees all of these characters to some degree. And so when you're writing from his perspective, then it is going to change the way that they're presented.
I think
sure, I can see that.
Why we went down this road is because Drew and I were talking, and my theory is that a lot of the time when a good writer is writing badly, it's because of editorial mandates.
Sure.
And trying to shoehorn in a crossover event when they're like that's happening elsewhere that you're like, I guess I'll include it. So like Cody Ziegler writing Miles Morales Spider-Man, which I forgot to write on my list here. Shoehorning in that Carnage. There was like 3 issues or 2 issues of Carnage popping in. And it's like, he didn't need that. That's not what Cody was going for when he started off the series, you know? Kind of like that. I think it's an editorial mandate to like push certain things in. It sucks. It sucks. Like, and so I personally think my hot take is that Zeb Wells he's only doing a bad job with Amazing Spider-Man when it is affecting, like when it's affecting some of the other stuff, like the editorial mandates coming in.
Like what, like for an example though?
Miss Marvel, including her death. I don't think that's Zeb Wells' fault.
Yeah, sure, I can see that.
Not only did she have to die, she had to die in a short window of time where she wasn't developed at all because Hellfire Gala had a strict like time, right? So like there's
I think that's more of a reflection of the mandate for the movies though. They wanted to make her a mutant. The MCU wants her as a mutant, so the comics need to reflect that now.
Yeah, but also the fact that like the time to introduce her as a mutant had to coincide with the Hellfire Gala.
Yeah, but we knew about the Hellfire Gala came out way after the introduction of her as a mutant though.
Yeah.
So the comics needed to reflect the movies at this point now.
Right.
Like so, I don't like that, but it's true.
Editorial, right?
No, I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying that when it comes to that specific example, they needed to go reflect the movies is what I'm saying. I'm positive that Marvel has rules about Peter Parker and Mary Jane and what they want to do with him. Oh yeah, I completely agree.
And so them like screwing just everything that happened in that Zeb Wells in the thing. But now it's getting better.
With Brian, what's his name? What's his name?
Paul?
Paul? Yeah, Paul. Oh, the internet was so upset at Paul.
So upset.
Oh my gosh. I remember that.
Where were we in comic books at the start of 2023? Let's get to this year. You know,
sure.
Where were we? Where was comics
pre-Paul?
Was it pre-Paul?
I was pre-Paul. I remember being mad. At Paul as well. And yeah, this was after I left the shop I was working at before. So yes, because I left that shop in the middle of January. So this is after that. So yes, we were pre-Paul. I don't know if that series had started over yet. Were we still on the volume before of Amazing, or were we on that new one?
So I'm looking into January 4th, the week of January 4th, 2023. We had Dark Knights of Steel #9. Oh, that didn't even that finished this year?
That finished this year? That feels so long ago.
Well, Wonder Woman Historia finished this year too, right?
Yeah, I mean that series, the Dark Knights of Steel, that ran for so long.
And it went on break, right?
It went on a couple breaks, I think.
At least one for sure.
So just running through, we got Batman 131 with, I think it's Chip Zdarsky's run, right?
That is Chip Zdarsky's run. That's right after Failsafe.
Okay.
I thought he started at 135. Did he not? Or was that 125? I think we started at 125. Never mind. Sorry.
Yeah, probably 125. So this is the dang. Anyway, the Avengers were dealing with their big ol' Avenger Prime, big ol'.
Oh, the end of Jason Aaron. Oh, there we go. That's the end of Jason Aaron's run on Avengers.
That whole thing.
Which I didn't mind. I didn't mind Jason Aaron's art.
Ooh, Lazarus Planet was kicking off this year
Yeah,
in DC.
Lazarus Planet, which felt so filler to me.
I didn't read any of it.
Lazarus Planet was bad.
We're not missing out on that one.
Yeah, it
Just
just
really
did not.
one thing. Like I think what was the point of that one? They were trying to bring in
New
magic
powered
and new
people.
magic and people and
Scarlet
new
Witch
powers.
#1. By the way, Scarlet Witch, this run, it finished.
That's Orlando's series, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
I liked that series.
One of the
I
best
liked that
series of this year.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Ooh. Bold
That's
claim.
one of my picks.
Why do you feel that? Dimitri, I'm curious about that one.
The first thing, the art was beautiful. Like the art
Stunning.
on
Who's the
that,
artist on that?
It is. I'm looking it up right now. It's Sarah.
Because those
Pichelli.
covers are beautiful.
The covers are beautiful. Well, the cover.
But the art on the
is-
interior as well is phenomenal.
Who's the cover artist? Is it the same as the interior?
I don't think it was the same as both of them, on all of them. Maybe the first couple.
Oh, cover artist is Russell Dodderman, and then Sarah Pichelli's on the inside art.
Oh
So,
yeah, fantastic,
I mean,
beautiful art.
This one, I'm not a fan of Scarlet Witch. I'm not really. I don't care about Scarlet Witch. The only thing I care about Scarlet Witch is when she affects mutants. What's up to Wednesday pull out there? What's up to Lex?
Yeah, there he is.
But this run was really good, and the fact that it ended after what, 12 issues, 10 issues?
Yeah, because we're getting a new Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver run.
Right. And like I think it's the same creative team too. So it's Steve Orlando and Sarah Pichelli. Amazing work on that. Not only was everyone beautiful, it actually made Scarlet Witch interesting to me.
I completely agree. I mean, I like Scarlet Witch outside of it anyways, but I do also like her when she interacts with the mutants. I wish they would make her a mutant again. I think that's what I was hoping that that's what they were going to do with Death of Magneto. I think that was last year.
Mm-hmm.
Or the Death of Scarlet Witch or something like that. But they didn't, and it really disappointed. But so I hope they eventually do that.
Yeah. I mean, did you guys read it?
I did not.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. With the Scarlet Witch?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they have Darcy's in it, which I thought was cool.
They introduced Darcy.
And they actually gave her like a point, which I thought was cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just throwing her in.
I mean, there's been a lot of changes. Like the Hellfire Gala Fall of X stuff has been.
Oh, we had Judgment Day this year. We're talking about X-Men. And I guess
Judgment? No, that was last year.
Was that last year?
Yeah, because that was Hellfire Gala of last year. Because the Hellfire Gala of this year brought in Fall of X.
Look at me. Brought in what?
Fall of X.
Yeah, when everyone with Orchid and everything.
Oh yeah, Orcus. Yeah. Chip Zdarsky's run and
oh yeah, his run end on Daredevil this year too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Saladin Ahmed popped up. His run started this year.
Is anyone reading that right now?
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What thoughts?
It's fine.
Yeah.
That would be mine as well. I kind of miss Zdarsky's run.
I think it'll be good.
I'm sure it'll build. I'm sure it'll build. I'm sure it will.
You know, because I liked his run on Miles.
Yeah, I feel like Miles. I don't know. There hasn't been a miss with Miles for me. I think Miles is his series are too underrated. I think if I'm going to choose any comic book, more people need to read Miles books because they're really good.
I'll say this about the Daredevil run that's happening now. One of the main draws for me is Aaron Cooter's art. Because he is an artist I've always really liked, and me being predominantly a DC guy, I haven't seen his art since the end of the New 52 era Superman.
Oh sure, good call.
So like
beautiful art, fantastic.
He does characters really well. His layouts are cool.
I like his facial expressions.
Yeah, he does faces great,
very well.
But
because I think that was the big thing that was enjoying with the current Daredevil run is like, especially the first couple of issues with Matt, especially when he's like in the priest mode, like the way he makes him so calm. I have never seen Matt Murdock look so serene before, and I like it. It's kind of off-putting, and I like that about it at least.
Yeah.
The Punisher series ended this year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Jason Aaron's Punisher?
Yeah.
Which the first time ever, I really enjoyed Punisher. Punisher is one of my least favorite characters.
Yeah.
And I loved this ending. And then this new series pops up, of course, with a new Punisher.
Drew, did you read this one?
I started it. I didn't finish it. I have every issue, and it's like it started off really strong, and I was really excited about it, and then it just one of those things where like early in the year early in the year I moved, and then how things get lost in the shuffle when you're moving apartments. So
Yeah.
didn't finish it. I have them all around here somewhere, and I will read them.
Yeah, that was a great ending to Frank Castle. At least to that version of Frank Castle, I hope.
Yeah.
The big thing for me, the big 2023 like in comics was Saga coming back.
Yeah.
Saga.
Yeah. January is when 61 came out.
Have you been liking the return of Saga?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't read Saga, so I don't know.
I wasn't until the last few issues. And I was frustrated with Saga. I was like, I waited 3 years for this. This is what I wait. But I'm glad I kept going. I mean, I was going to keep going no matter what. But the way it built, I was like, oh my God, how could I doubt Brian K. Vaughan with this series? Like it got me so back on board with the last few of them. Like I needed those first ones to get me back into Saga and the feel of it. And it's been so good. I'm so happy it's back.
Yeah, I mean, it took like a 6-month break or something like that. After it came back from its big giant hype.
Yeah. I was about to say, I was like, no, that was 3 years. But then it took another break. Yeah.
It came back, and then they took like 6 months between like April and January.
Okay. I want to shout out not only Wednesday Pull out there saying I love Crudo's art too. The only reason I stuck with Avengers Forever. Yeah, Avengers Forever was a bore. Like I wanted to like it, but it was a bore. Carson is out there. What's up, Carson? We shouted you out earlier. And then Wednesday Pull says the break was brutal, but I've been digging the hell out of it. Carson says I have the Saga Compendium coming tomorrow, actually. So,
Good luck. I'm so jealous of anyone starting Saga. Seriously, I wish I could reread Saga for the first time.
Let's talk about indie comics, right? Now, some people said don't call them indie comics; they're not independent comics. Whatever. I don't know what
Why?
you call third party. Somebody was saying that because they're not independent if they're owned by somebody. I don't know if they have Netflix
but
deals.
Image is creator owned.
Yeah, Image is entirely creator owned. The people get mad at me when I call Image indie because I get that Image is basically mainstream comics. They are definitely even if you're not doing superhero stories, a lot of them are superhero creators who are doing their own thing. So it's superhero adjacent. It's not like Art Spiegelman doing underground zines, those comics do still exist. And I think that they need to exist and, stuff like that. But by the basis definition, Image Comics, Dark Horse, unless it's owned by another a bigger company and it's licensed to Dark Horse, those are independent properties.
Okay.
They people get really snooty about it sometimes.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I guess it depends because there's Transformers at Image right now, and that's not.
Yeah, right. Transformers is not.
But I would say properties at IDW, most of IDW's properties are owned by some big corporation. Same with Dynamite, right? So wouldn't consider it too independent. But Image for sure, the writers and artists own those properties and are doing whatever they can to promote them. Image just has a bigger platform than every other independent comic, and that's the point of Image, is to boost up. That's why it was created, right? To boost up comic book artists and writers and their own stories.
Yep.
No, I don't agree with
last
that statement.
Year I read, because of recommendations, a good amount of independent comics. This year not so much. So I want to ask you two, what were your big independent comic books this year?
I'll go through a few of them. Saga, of course, which we already mentioned. What's the Furthest Place from Here has been one of my favorite books consistently since it came out. It just that is a book that just speaks to me as a person. Undiscovered Country came back this year. Kelly Thompson had The Cull, which started, and that book has been really cool. Tom King and I don't know how to pronounce her last name, Elsa. It's like Elsa Chartier or something. They had the series that they were doing originally digitally first, and now Image is publishing it, called Love Everlasting.
Love Everlasting. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Which
yeah.
I think is one of the coolest books that's coming out now.
Is it? Did it pull it off?
I like
Because
it.
I read the first 2 issues and I was like, okay, cool, but also
It
do
is.
I need to continue?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Okay.
You've got also Kelly Thompson. She did Black Cloak at the beginning of the year. I read that on a plane. The trade paperback, just coming back from Philadelphia. I happened to find it really cheap in a shop, and
Yeah.
I just read it on the plane, and that was a really cool book.
Kelly Thompson's on fire this year, man. Her Birds of Prey run too. So good.
Yeah. Birds of Prey. What's the other big one that she's got? There's something else. I can't remember what it is. But yeah, her Birds of Prey was awesome.
Mhm.
Fish Flies from Jeff Lemire has been
my
one of my favorites. I mean, I'm
How could you
back
not,
in my
man?
brain because I'm just going through like the stacks. Firepower, which is a book that I haven't been reading, even though I've been buying every issue of it.
Same. Dude.
Just because like I've just been letting them stack up. But I mean, Firepower is like, if you like old school martial arts, like Marvel comics,
Yeah.
that's a book for you.
Okay.
It's Robert Kirkman doing what he did with superheroes with Invincible, but with like 70s martial arts comics.
Interesting.
With art by Chris Samnee, who is one of the best in the entire business.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, indie books have been awesome. One that I picked up just for the name, not the title, but like the artist, the writer artist. I've never read Hack and Slash ever.
Oh, that's an old series.
But Zoe Thorogood is doing Hack and Slash Back to School, and after reading her book, It's Lonely at the Center of the Earth last year, I decided that I would just buy everything that she works on until she's dead or I am dead. And so I'm reading that, and it's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I've been liking this Transformers run because
Yeah.
so it's something that
Danny Warren Johnson, man.
It's tough to look. I like IP. I do. I like my DC and I like my Marvel. And if I'm reading indie books, they're either IP that I know or they have to be like hardcore recommended from people, right? Like last year I read Stray Dogs. I read Nice House on the Lake, right? Like even though Nice House on the Lake is Black Label DC, right? Was that what it was? But
It is, but
I'm gonna
if
say
you,
Vertigo.
it is creator owned.
okay, so it's like I loved it, right? And it was hardcore recommended. Great. But when it comes to like Image and stuff, like it takes a lot to get me to try a new IP. So what am I reading? Transformers from Image.
I'm like going through a stack
So
right
good.
now. Just like Rare Flavors came out this year.
I didn't get to read
I mean,
it.
yeah.
And I got Layla Starr in paperback, but
Yeah, Ram V, man.
I haven't read it yet.
I'll read anything Ram V puts out. His
Same.
writing's phenomenal.
Rare Flavors, I hear good things.
Rare Flavors was cool. What's the shoot? I'm blanking on it. What is the horror book that came out not too long ago? Oh, The Deviant, James Tynion.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Came out last
2
month.
issues out.
Horror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Is it good?
Furry.
It's so good.
I was let down by his last one though. Closet.
I liked The Closet.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it needed to continue. Like, I liked it. I think that was the frustrating part of me. I was like, I liked it. It just seemed to end so suddenly.
It definitely felt like a digital first book, which I mean that's what it was. But yeah, I mean The Deviant I thought was
But yeah,
great.
Deviant's good.
I think The Deviant is such. We were talking about this on Thursday. The Alan Scott book. I think The Deviant is like a really cool sort of like dark mirror to the themes that are established in that Alan Scott book, because they're both books about like facets of the gay experience, written by like gay writers who clearly have experienced this sort of thing to some degree. It's I mean, it's so,
and I get to cast
they're
I
so
get
good
to when I took Valko, put any number in creature cards from your hand onto
We're
the
getting people in the background.
Sorry.
It's all right. So Alan
But no,
Scott Green Lantern has been a good book.
Yes, I want to talk about Alan Scott Green Lantern for a second, but I wouldn't.
I also want to talk about Alan Scott.
I
Green
also
Yes,
want to talk about
we're
Alan
going to.
Scott Green Lantern.
The last
indie books.
the last independent book that I want to talk about is I'm not just saying this because sometimes he sends me free copies, but Dave Chisholm, if you don't follow him on TikTok, he's a fascinating creator. For the last few years, he's been putting out original graphic novels that are based on musicians. Because he himself is like a jazz musician who became a cartoonist. And he did a book this year about Miles Davis. It's called Miles Davis and the Search for the Sound. It's just a hardcover. It's put out by Z2 Comics. But Dave has the way that he draws music on the page is so incredibly unique. He does it through various colors and shapes, like coming out of the horns of the instruments and stuff like that, to the point where like you can look at, he'll do like neon blue circles for one character, and another character will have like magenta squares, and the way that they mix together on the page, the way they flow through the page is so interesting. It's really simple when you really think about it, but it's also incredibly clever. And I mean, his work for the last few years it's been like day one, I'm reading this kind of thing. Like release day, I'm making sure that I sit down and read this.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I haven't read that one.
I can get behind that. I second everything you just said, man. I will just want to add, Dimithri, you were talking about IPs. I think anyone the Power Rangers books over Boom has been phenomenal. Especially now they're like zombies. It's phenomenal. The Power Rangers books have been really, really good. And then also Boom with a lot of like turning the old like classic princess stories into giving them new life. So like there was Alice Ever After, and then also
Are those
Briar.
the cheesecake ones though?
No. Did you read them?
No. But Alice Ever After was not the cheesecake one.
No, this is over at Boom Studios. Both of them are. No, you're thinking of a Grimm's Fairy Tales.
Yeah.
No, that's from Xenoscope.
Yeah.
Stay away from those.
Yeah,
I'm talking about Boom Studios.
Yeah.
Alice Ever After. It has sequel series as well. Alice Never After, and then Briar, which is Sleeping Beauty. What if Sleeping Beauty woke up in a post-apocalyptic future? I thought those were both really, really fun. I thought those were really, really cool books and a good and a very fun idea. What if Alice in Wonderland, what if she really was insane, right? And like, how does her and her family cope with all this?
Yeah.
I think that was really interesting take on both those characters and kind of revamped them in a fresh way. So Boom and Image are been unstoppable lately. So I back those guys.
And you know who's an up and comer? Other than Distillery, I mean, I'm so interested in what Distillery is going to be doing.
Sure.
But Vault this year has been really, between this year and last year, Vault has been putting out some interesting stuff. I think that they're like a publisher to watch for.
Yeah. What's Vault been doing?
The biggest thing for me, I thought, I think this came out last year. My years are running together.
Me too.
Zach Kaplan, and I don't remember the artist, but Zach Kaplan wrote a book there called Mindset, which is essentially a cross between like the movie The Social Network and the movie Fight Club. So it really feels like a David Fincher film about a group of like struggling software developers who basically create a social media app that can control your mind.
Okay.
Ooh.
And it was really cool. And he has a new book out. I think last week it came out, called Beyond Real. I haven't got a chance to read that one yet, but I mean, like, if they continue like with that quality of work, I mean, they can rival what Image is doing. I mean, it feels like it feels to me like Vault is honing in on what Vertigo was doing, you know, like
Okay.
like many years ago,
Ooh.
where like the Vertigo books were like kind of creepy. You know, like all of
Oh,
them
yeah.
had like
Yeah.
a creepy feel to them for
Like
a while.
weird.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, we're talking like at the time you had like Swamp Thing and Shade and Hellblazer and Sandman and
Doom
stuff.
Patrol.
Yeah, like all coming out at the same time, just weird, interesting, kind of off kilter. Whereas like Image is kind of just doing various genres right now. Vault, not to say that they're not like, you know, diverse in their storytelling, but
Right.
I mean they definitely kind of have this they have this market cornered. There we
Okay.
go.
Yeah. They got this corner market on the corner.
Yeah. They got the corner market. You can buy
I'll go.
empanadas
I'll
there.
visit. It's cool.
Yeah. Do you guys feel like this was a strong year for indie titles, or just as strong as last year? Is it getting stronger? Is it getting weaker? It's roughly the same as last year.
I don't think it's getting weaker at
Okay.
all. Is it getting stronger? It probably is, but I don't necessarily think that I can like assess that properly, because I just don't. You can only read so much, you know.
Mhm.
But
Yeah. It's
I mean, competition is good. We have Vault coming out doing, and again, the big thing this year in independent comics was Distillery.
Right. And this was just a
Yeah.
setup year then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, all their actual titles are coming out next year. You do also have like veterans, Scott Snyder, Tom King, James Tynion, other people, I'm sure, who are putting out these digital firsts, with, you know, either on their own through like Substack or through other like companies.
Yeah.
So you have these things coming out like ahead of time in these smaller doses, but then they're eventually getting packaged and coming out in print. So, I mean, I think that I think it is really, really strong because we have a lot going on. I also think that we are continuing the point where, like, if you want to be a comic book creator, you know, with the way that the internet is right now, you can really do that as long as you have the resources, you know.
Yeah.
Yes, I completely agree with what you're, especially if you're the super indie, like you're starting out and getting your own comic book. Yeah, go for it. Totally, just make it. Go for it. The thing is, from a, I guess, more of a retail perspective, from what I see, most indie comic books, they sit on the shelf for a very, very long time.
Yeah, I mean, they
indie
need-
readers read trade paperbacks. And I think the indie market would take off a lot more. As much as I hate to say this because I'm a single issue collector, the indie comics market would do a lot more if they focus on trades. And indie comics are written for trade paperback.
Yeah,
They're
I
not
think
written in the same style as Marvel and DC, because Marvel and DC are very episodic. Each
Mhm.
issue is a beginning, middle, end, leads into a next beginning, middle, end, right? Where indie comics, it's all one big continuous story. And
Right.
most of the time, if an indie person comes in a shop and they miss on an issue, they won't pick up the rest. They'll just wait for the trade.
Yeah, and you know, it's easier because, you know, like in an independent book right now, what, 6-7 issues and then it's done.
Yeah.
You know, so it is easier to do that. You know, there are exceptions to that, obviously, but like, yeah, you know, I'm a guy who tends to read my indie books in trade. So
Most
I
do.
get
The
that.
trade paperbacks do very, very, very sell way better than any single issues that they have.
Yeah.
Like I said, if I can't sell a an indie book within a week, it goes in the 50-cent bin. It's not going to sell, and
Yeah.
because they'll wait for the trade. So that's what I'm saying. I don't understand. Like, as much as a single issue collector, I am a huge single issue collector. I don't understand why more of the indie series don't just go straight to trade paperback. Just write for, because that's the format they're writing anyways. I feel like they're more accessible, more people are waiting for them, and more people buy them anyways. I think just having it straight to trade paperback is going to be what's going to uplift a lot of these indie creators.
The only thing that I can think of is like, it's almost like double dipping. You know, let's get the single issue people, but let's also make sure we're getting the trade paperback people. Like, we know we're going to get the trade paperback people, so why don't we try, you know?
No, I totally. I think if they concentrate on just, you know, sitting down and writing the trade as a whole instead of, you know, waiting for each individual issue to be written or everything, I think they could probably pump out more. They can do more. They can do more with it if they're just concentrating on writing for trade instead of, because writing single issues, a lot of them, I wouldn't say a majority. I wouldn't say all of them, but you know, some majority of them, they still write issue to issue, right? And so that extends the process more. I feel like the indie market could do a lot better if they just focus on trades.
Yeah, I mean,
as much as like I said, as much as I love the single issue market.
If I may chime in, I don't even know.
No, not on your own show.
What you guys just covered? It's our show. If it was my show, I'd just do a one man show. It can't be that.
Thank you so much, sir.
Singular stories, I think, are best in trade, and long ongoing stories with expanded universes and interconnectivity need issues, right? And you kind of see that with TV shows. You know, a single story could be binged. A single story is a movie, right? But an ongoing series is a series and should be released no more than once a week, in my opinion. And so trades, whatever these indie comics are, they need to get their trades in major retailers. And I'm not talking comic shops. I'm talking Walmarts and Targets.
Yeah, and that's I mean, Target sells a lot of trade paperbacks on their websites. They don't do so much in store.
They have manga in their store, in their thing.
In some of them,
yeah.
And they have some trade paperbacks in store too. I think that it's going to be a hard sell on Walmart on that though, because they're like they're so particular about the content of certain things.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that, you know, you can buy a rated R movie at Walmart.
Right.
I think it's because people know the rating system.
Do you guys remember music back in the day?
Yeah.
The parental advisory stuff?
Yeah, of course.
Walmart used to take them out or have censored versions.
Yeah, they would only cover the edited. They would only sell an edited version.
Yeah.
They would not sell one with a parental advisory sticker on it.
Yeah. So maybe not Walmart, but maybe
the indie.
What?
The indie publishers the cuts they would need to make and the amount of inventory that Walmart would request, I don't think the indie book publishers can keep up with those. That's another thing as well. Is the numbers that they would need to put up for Target and Walmart.
But that would be amazing. An amazing investment.
They would need to show that they can sell all those numbers.
Yeah,
and I think that if I'm being honest about that, I think that would end up jacking up the prices of the books.
If we're talking like a trade like Transformers, this first story arc, once it finishes, why can't that be put out somewhere?
I mean, that probably
can put out places.
I'm talking like major retailers.
I mean, Barnes and Noble sells
Barnes and Noble.
I'm talking about a non-book place that has a book section.
In the numbers that trade paperbacks sell at, I don't think Walmart and Target would even consider it. It's
And
not worth their time. It's
I
not
would
worth their
challenge you with the
shelf
manga.
space.
The manga sells.
Manga sells a lot better than trade paperbacks.
And so it's not the medium. It's the interest in the kids and the interest in the content. Let's just say.
Exactly. If
Right.
someone's willing to buy it, they will do it. But it needs to be in the masses, in the numbers that they want.
And I'm saying,
and I don't think the indie creators will cut enough prices. Walmart buys on bulk at cheap.
right.
I don't think though indie artists, because I mean, if you look at super independent comics, right? The comics we get off the shelf from major major publishers are $3.99, $4.99, $5.99, right? Super indies, they have to do $10 at least, right?
Okay.
To sell their books. Marvel and DC are the only ones that can print at that level, that can drop their prices enough to still have profit to do that,
Right.
sell wise. So if anyone's going to get into those, it's going to be Marvel and DC.
And
DC
Marvel and
did do
DC
that.
should. Right? They should be putting their books out to Targets and Walmarts.
But they tried that. It didn't work.
They did try that. Yeah, it didn't work.
Why didn't it work?
Yep.
Oh, I
mean,
don't
there
know.
has
I
to
don't
be a
know
reason.
about-
Like, is it the interest? Is it the are other things on the same rack or the same shelf selling and they're not selling? You know what I mean? I think somebody needs to look into it because the comic industry is losing people, and I mean it's gaining people. It's also losing people. Like it as a medium. I'm not saying it's dying because I believe DC is strengthening their brand comic wise. I think especially this year, I think DC has strengthened their brand this year.
I agree with that. But I mean, look at they're trying to compete with manga though. Look at the new trade paperback format that they're putting out for a lot of their legacy titles. They're nothing new. It's just the size and price of a manga. It's the exact size and same price as a manga, and that's how they're choosing to compete. They're trying to compete with manga, and I don't know how that's going to look.
The thing is, I think that.
Sorry, real quick. Carson says he's been seeing a ton of TMNT at Target. That's where he bought his copies of The Last Ronin in the last years, but those are also an IP. I love that though. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but yeah, right. But
I never said that. I said the big publishers can get.
Oh,
no.
Indie
comics are not going to be able to
yelling
afford
at you.
that.
I'm saying that is a good thing. Is what I'm trying.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. Don't get me wrong. The more eyes on comics, I want everyone to be reading comics.
Right.
I truly do. If I could get them in those stores, I definitely would. It just doesn't seem plausible at the moment.
This is what I think about it. I think that young kids, and when I say young, I'm talking teenagers, right? And this is based solely on my experiences with like my students, right? They like superheroes, but they don't want to read about superheroes.
Right.
Because they get their fill from movies.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
However, I have one student this year who is binging the Deadly Class book.
Yeah.
Because he saw the show.
Okay.
And like he's in my class not doing my assignments because he's too busy reading paperbacks of Deadly Class, right?
Yeah.
So all that is to say that I think that kids are turning away from superheroes because they get that elsewhere.
Because they're thinking about superheroes as a genre.
Right, yeah. Well, I mean, superhero is a genre. I think it's a genre.
Yeah, but it's also mixed. Like, it's not a pure genre. Superheroes as a pure genre don't exist, right? Like, it's superheroes mixed with other genres.
I mean,
you can mix genres. You can mix genres.
Yeah,
you can have a romantic horror. You can have a
what's the most
sci-fi
distilled
action,
down
right? You can mix
superhero
genres.
genre that has no other genres in it?
Superman.
What's up?
I mean, a Superman book is a superhero book.
Okay.
There is,
I don't know. You have romance in it. You have action. You have suspense. But there's all those other genres.
You can have all those things in it, like kind of coloring, like adding texture to it. But overall, I think that Superman, I think Spider-Man, those are superhero books, right?
Yeah, totally.
A book like Dark Knight Returns is technically a superhero book, but that's not really what people like about it. That's the superheroics of it are not the draw. And for me, that's where the difference is.
Yeah.
That's the distinction. I think that young people, and if any industry that wants to continue surviving needs to look at the trends of young people.
I agree.
I've
said it since I was a young person. Listen to me.
I mean, let's
I'm who to listen to.
Let's be real here. Let's be real. American culture is driven by 16-year-old girls, right?
Sure.
Every trend starts with 16-year-old girls or teenage girls, right?
For different things. It's about gender. Like if we're saying that, it's about gender roles and how we play.
Sure. Yeah.
Same with race, right? Like we look at different races for different things for trends, right?
For sure. Yeah.
So you say teenage girls. I agree with the teenage girls to an extent. I used to, not for teenage girls, but girls in general, when I was in college, is that one of my friends was like, look, you bring the drink to the party, the drink that the girls will drink. If the girls get the drinks that they want to drink, they'll be happy. And when girls are happy, then the guys are happy. It doesn't matter. And the guys can drink the girl, like the seltzers, right? Like the guys can do that. But you don't bring the IPAs necessarily.
So how do you reach the people who are setting the trends if you want them to read comics?
Right.
I don't, because like I teach a lot of mostly girls at my new school.
Yeah.
I have also high population of people who are gender non-conforming, you know, who identify as non-binary. Yeah. And like they all, for the most part, seem to really like superhero media, but they're not going out and buying comics.
No.
And I don't know if that's necessarily because, number one, it's too expensive. Two, it's too overwhelming. Those are the two big like what you hear from people.
The biggest one I get here all the time is there's too much.
You guys are making me want to make a new podcast. Stop giving me ideas for
do
new
it, Dimithri.
podcasts.
Don't have a life
gives
anymore.
Me more work. I'm doing a monthly X-Men podcast called State of X, which I'm surprised that title has not been taken yet, but I'm taking it, and it's going to be a monthly X-Men catch-up podcast that we're doing.
I love that.
And so, definitely stay tuned for that. But now you guys are making me, because right now we're getting off the topic of like best comics 2023, and we're getting into like huge, big comic book industry topics, which
this is phenomenal.
I also want to talk about. That's the problem. The problem is that we all.
That's not the point of the show.
It's not the point, but it's.
Can I just since you mentioned this?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go on a tiny little rant.
Yeah.
Okay. The tiny rant being, I think one of the big things that happened this year happened towards the end of the year. The comic shop owner who was angry at the state of superhero comics, talking about how like, oh, they're not selling because writers are doing their take on the superheroes and not letting the superheroes be written the way that they have been for years. I think that this is, number one, I very strongly disagree with him. Number two, not to say that I disagree with why that's not, I don't necessarily think that he's wrong, that's why comics aren't selling. I don't know that he's right, but I don't know that he's wrong. I think
he's wrong. They're just not written for him anymore.
Right. And that's
who is this person?
He's a comic shop owner who put up a video
on TikTok.
No, he was I think on Twitter.
I was like
he got a lot of traction. I can picture him in my head. I forget who he was.
He had a lot of traction. And he said essentially what it boiled down to is nobody cares what you would do if you were Captain America. We care about what Captain America would do. And that's why people are getting fed up with superhero books, because writers are putting their own thoughts into the books. I disagree with that in general.
There's a point there and there's not a point there, but I continue.
Mostly again, I don't know if he's right or wrong about that being a reason why people wouldn't buy comics. Maybe it is a reason. I don't think he has any way of knowing that except for his own experience, right? There's no way to really gauge that without doing some kind of big, huge international survey. He can speculate that as much as he wants. I think that he is wrong about that, though. Like, that entire sentiment is wrong. I actually do find it a little bit more interesting to think, really, not necessarily what would you do if you were Captain America, but really it's what does this new writer bring that nobody else is or that nobody else can do, right? What perspective does the new writer bring that is the reason they're writing the book? And we have to kind of embrace this change. We have to let writers do what they're going. We have to let artists do what they're going to do, because just like we were saying on Thursday, when you make it just a thing for people to buy to make money, it's not art, it's a consumable.
And I did say that.
We said that.
We said that together.
I am not interested in just making comics another consumable. So I'm going to tie that all back in just to say, if comics have to have a specialty shop to exist, because that's how we keep from compromising the art inside, I will go to a specialty shop forever. And if
that's what we do have.
And if we're going to compromise the art on the inside and try to make it like something that is just consumable to make money, and I know corporate comics are just to make money really in the end, but every now and then some great stuff sinks through. I
think on the corporate level, the point is to make money. But I don't think those. I think those creators who are essentially signing away their own ideas because they want it to be on Batman, but their ideas are owned by DC Comics. I think they're doing it for the love of it, and I think, the corporation, these unnamed, unfaced people that will be making the most money.
And my fear is that if you start letting comics en masse into the big box stores, you're going to start seeing compromises to keep them there. And I don't want that.
See compromises to keep them there. I mean, we already do that with the big two. Are you talking strictly independent comics right now?
Well, he was talking about independent comics.
Okay. Then I mean, they need, to a certain point, if you want to have an industry, it needs to have some sort of marketability to it. It needs to bring in some sort of money to keep it going. Unless you have an independent, benefactor that's going to support the comic no matter what. But like, there needs to be some sort of,
Me being like a musician, I've always noticed the parallels, like the overlaps between comics industry and music industry, right? Yeah. And superhero comics to me are like the pop music of the comics industry, right? But right now, if the music industry lost all the money, just stopped making money and completely shut down, it just stopped making money, and it was gone tomorrow, right? Probably not going to hear much Dua Lipa. You're not going to hear, you'd probably hear Taylor Swift. She'd probably still continue making music. But it's just not going to be marketed the same way, right? Because there are independent artists who, like the type of musician that I was, right? I was in a band that 100% knew we were never going to make $1 off of our music.
Yeah.
So we went on tour and played shows, and we played every show we played except for one in New Jersey was really, really good. We continued to exist, and honestly, we were better because we knew we weren't going to be making any money. We weren't going to be, because we knew that there was no reason for us to like try to be marketable.
Do not get me wrong. When I say that they won't exist, I'm not saying they won't exist, but I'm saying sure, there's going to be people going to write comics no matter what, right? And they're off time in between their shifts, whatever they want to do. I guarantee there will be. But if you want to have people read them, if you want to have people enjoy them, more than the people that can just walk to wherever they're selling it, right? Like that needs to be that needs to have some sort of money coming in to make it profitable for the people producing the comic books to get the word out there. Like if you're just having it for your own sake, you just want it because it's out there, great. That's phenomenal. That's great for that. But if you're trying to make a comic and you want it, first off, to live off of it, if that's what you want to do, that needs to have some sort of money coming in.
What if this is going to sound like me being callous, but like, what if we just don't live off of comics? What if we do it just because we love it?
Well,
right.
Then we're going to see less of them. The quality is going to go down because they're going to do it in
in this society, you got to be able to make money off of it.
You have to do something like that.
At least in the sense of like the things that make the most money can use that money to propel itself.
I also don't want to be taken the wrong way that I'm not saying that, these big corporations need to take control of these. No, there needs to be some sort of balance. It's a double-edged sword. It's the same, but same thing with superhero books. You're saying that they're the pop hits, sure. But at the same time, back in like the 90s and 80s, they were not. That was still, it were nerdy. Like it was still underground.
But pop hits in the medium.
Exactly. I know what you mean. That's what I'm saying. Even then, it's still like it's the bigger ones. But like
and that is, we still have there are a number of major superhero books that came out this year that are really good.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And they feel like they are uncompromising, and for every Lazarus Planet, there was an Action Comics that came out this year.
Yeah, I completely agree. And but that's what I'm saying. There needs to be some sort of balance between them. And I think the more passion you have for it, the more you're going to fight for it. Right.
Yeah. And I think there's the part of me that's just like, the industry it's like maybe we don't need to make as much money this year. Maybe we can just keep doing what we, like in the upcoming year, maybe we can just keep doing what we've been doing. Sure, somebody at Warner Brothers is probably not going to be too happy about it, but
that person controls your food. You know what I mean? Like people who run comic shops also are living off of this.
Sure, and I'm speaking idealistically.
Yeah, idealistically.
I also think that too. I wish we could all just
somebody
do whatever. For sure, I would love that for sure. And our passions, just follow the passions whenever it strikes us. I would love that. If we want people to read these stories, if we want people to identify them, if we want more people to see themselves in comics and these characters and be inspired by them so they can create their own and tell all these different stories that haven't been told before and have all these eyes on them, to see people actually see and be seen and feel heard in these stories, you need to have some way of getting it out there, and that requires money.
The goal is to
in our society.
Most people, right? So like I come from a comedy performing acting background. There used to be people that would be like, well, I don't care how many people come to my comedy show. I'm doing it for the art. And it's like, you can do it for the art, but then just do it in your garage. If it doesn't matter who's going to see you, do it to nobody.
That really is kind of like the two sides of things, because, like I said, I relate everything back to being a musician. And it was like,
I love the perspective, by the way.
We knew 100%, like we knew we weren't playing giant shows. We knew that we were a relatively well-known band in our genre.
Yeah.
I had to put that in there, in our genre, right? Because, people, your everyday Joe out on the street didn't know who we were and would never know who we were, right? But the people who were going to find us did. And I think that is especially true in the comics industry. The people who are going to become comic fans do, because if you're letting little barriers stop you, you're going to let them stop you no matter what.
I don't know.
But some people don't know they're a fan until you tell them they're a fan, right? There's some people
kids
that
don't even want to read in general, right? Like it's up to a teacher to teach a kid their love of reading. So same goes
Sure.
with this medium. It's not prose, but it's sequential art.
Sure, absolutely. But I still think
Imagine all
that-
the people that could have heard you if you had a publisher, I forget, a record label behind you, like pushing
did.
your stuff,
Right.
pushing like around the world, all the people around the world that could love your
did.
music, right?
we did. We had, I mean, we had people around the world listening to us. We weren't just like a band that people in our city heard, you know. I mean, like we were.
Oh, sorry. It was when you said you were in your area, that when everyone in your area. So I assumed it was just
right.
that, but yeah.
But like, I just think I don't know. It sounds like I'm trying to make a whole point here when really I'm just trying to like kind of. I'm really just kind of like trying to put two different things together.
Yeah. Trying to draw comparisons from one.
Yeah, and I'm
Totally,
not trying to say like anything like that. It's more so just
I want more people to love comics.
Me too.
I do too. I
Yeah.
do too. And I think that if we think of comics the same way that we do fringe genres of music, right? I played in a punk band, right? The type of punk that we played is not the type that, like, you know, you were never going to have a song on the radio, right? We're never going to make money off of this, but the people who are looking for it will find it. We made music that everyone was welcome to find,
Right.
but we knew not everybody was going to.
But
and
imagine
totally
making it
fine.
easier to find, though.
Yeah.
You could,
but the internet makes it easier to find, right?
So that's also a thing, but that's also what we do as content creators, right?
It's who you trust. You
Like-
listen to the word of the people that you trust. I mean, I didn't read Golden Age books until I worked with this gentleman at the very first shop I worked at that had been, reading comics since like the 50s, and he was working the back issue section with me, and he would just talk about Golden Age comics. Like, why would I want to read something from the 1940s and 50s?
Right.
I'm glad I did, like, because he would recommend it, and he made it sound so entertaining. And I mean, they're cheesy, but like,
Yeah.
I liked the stories,
My
and I
take,
liked the characters.
my take on Golden Age stories is I don't like the stories, I like the characters. So I like them better when they're modern time, which is why Justice Society existing in the modern DC is important to me.
Isn't that crazy? The two Golden Age characters right now are probably the two best DC books out right now. Isn't that
Which
crazy?
is what?
Jay Garrick and Alan Scott books, like,
but also
that's
Wesley
crazy.
Dodds has a Sandman book.
Oh, and Wesley Dobbs book, yeah.
Wesley Dodds. So the new Golden Age has really picked up in this year also, and they are some of the best books in this. DC really strengthened the brand this year, and that's like one of my big points with this best comics of 2023 for me personally, is that I think Marvel did a couple slip ups this year. I think DC Lazarus Planet is its own thing. It's kind of hard to like whatever, but like,
I mean, that's a slip up. I mean, you gotta if you're
Lazarus Planet
gonna
was a
fall
slip up,
Marvel,
yeah.
you gotta fall DC too.
It's true, and I'm not. No, I mean I love both, right? But like,
As do I.
And I read Lazarus Planet, but I think that like when it comes to DC, like the new Golden Age books, Stargirl and the Lost Children, I thought was a great read.
Good.
And then the Justice Society of America is really kind of just picking up. I mean,
It's
they
Jeff
did the
Johns. He writes it when he wants.
It's just okay, it is what it is. But like, and Night Terrors wasn't good.
Filler storyline, and
but like
that frustrated me.
Beast World's kind of fun, but it's not really what I need. But it is what it is. I don't know.
I'm kind of. I'll say this. I'm kind of okay with the way that DC has been treating these events this last year, because I read Night Terrors.
Yeah.
Not everything, but I read like the main series and then like the characters I was interested in or the creators who were making stuff that I was interested in. But if I didn't read that, I wouldn't have lost anything.
No.
And the same thing with, like I said, I didn't read Lazarus Planet. I think I maybe like read the alpha issue. It was just kind of like, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel like I lost anything for having not read that. Yeah. And I'm kind of cool with them doing these events for the people who like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But allowing for like just the universe to continue spinning for everybody else.
Which was the problem with Night Terrors. The problem with Night Terrors is they stopped everybody's titles for 2
Night Terrors did stop the titles, but at the same time, if you weren't interested in it and you didn't read it, I just had a weird little light shifted in here. If you didn't read it, you just, you took 2 months off of DC books, but you didn't miss anything, right? Like, you didn't miss anything so crucial. Like, going back, if I didn't read in like the 2000s, if I didn't read Infinity Crisis, right?
Yeah.
Like, the next time I picked up my regular books, I wouldn't.
It would have been 1 year later. That was
I
literally their initiative right after Infinite Crisis.
Like,
1 year later, which I loved, by the way.
Yeah, me too.
Definitely changed in the rest of the universe, and I think that there are good things, about that, and there are bad things about that. But overall, I kind of like the whole I can pick and choose my experience right now.
Yeah,
I can get behind that for sure, Drew. I think I like that perspective actually. I also like it that anyone can just pick up this, or they don't have to read it. I wish I didn't have super big crossovers all the time. I don't like when books pause, right? I also don't like that. But my biggest problem with Night Terrors this issue was it was the Justice League, right? The big through the first issue, it had Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, right? And I was really hoping that DC would really push the Titans like you said they were going to as the big team. And this is the first big storyline after that, after we get a Titans announcement, was the first character. Where's Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, right? From an old Justice League storyline. And that's what I kind of threw me off about it beginning as well, was the DC never seems to back what they're saying and what they're big guys, because I knew they're going to eventually go back to the Justice League as well.
I mean, the best thing they did with the absence of the big three is one of my favorite comic books of all time is 52.
Oh my god, me too. That book's so good.
It is, but then they tried to capture lightning in a bottle again, and they did Countdown. It was bad.
Countdown. Was it? Do you even like it? I mean, it's not great, but
Countdown got
fun.
bad for multiple different reasons.
Well, yeah, okay.
And then they did Trinity, which was their weekly one after.
Oh my god, I love Trinity. It's not good, but I love it. I completely agree that it's not a good book, but I love Trinity.
52 is great.
52 is amazing.
Batman Eternal was another 52 issue series that was great. I didn't read Batman and Robin Eternal.
Technically, all the new 52 books ended at 52 that were still existing.
What do you mean? What?
Well, you said that's another 52 book?
52 issue book, not new 52.
Yeah, well, new 52, all the new 52 books ended at 52. They all ended, and then they restarted Rebirth. Batman, Scott Snyder ended at 52. Superman ended at 52.
I didn't know.
Yeah, they all ended at 52, and then they.
Well, I meant 52 issue as in a weekly comic.
I know what you meant. Sorry, I was being.
Well, what stands out for DC Comics before we move to Marvel? But what stands out for DC Comics this year?
Like in general?
Yeah, in general. What were the big DC hits this year?
For me, I mean, I got a few of these here, but the big one for me. Action Comics was consistently good every week that it came out. Philip Kennedy Johnson just understood how to make Batman feel relevant. Sorry, Superman, not Batman. Superman relevant. To make
Batman feel irrelevant. Because Superman was there.
Yes.
Chip Zdarsky made Batman feel irrelevant. But and I say that as somebody who liked Gotham more.
I also like Gotham more. I did. No worries.
It did not end well with the Vandal Savage. Why was Vandal Savage part
of
this?
I mean, I give Tynion a break for that, just because I guarantee he was thrown in there, right? They fired Tom King and they needed someone to fill in for this Batman. So he's just like, oh, sure, let's do this Batman run, right? I mean, he probably had some ideas in the background if he ever wrote Batman, but I'm sure a lot of big comic book writers have some ideas in the back of their head for these big characters. But he just was thrown on after Tom King got fired.
Yeah. But action.
Yeah. Superman, it's a Superman renaissance right now. I love it.
Yes. Yeah. Superman is this action run, and really, the entirety of Philip Kennedy Johnson's Superman is one of the best Superman runs. Not just in recent years, it's one of the best of all time. And I get kind of bummed out when people tell me they're not reading it, but like it just needs a cheerleader, right? It needs somebody to be like, listen, you are going to like this if you read it. And yeah, I mean, I've tried to do that all year, just consistently showing people why they need to be reading this Superman book, because it's so good.
I mean, the War World storyline was phenomenal, man.
I got it in paperback. It's a thick paperback too.
Yeah.
I got it. I was like, this is one of the most iconic Superman stories ever told. It will continue to be. 10 years from now, they'll be talking about it. 20 years from now, right?
Yeah. It's
I don't think enough people are talking about it. That's the problem here.
But that's our industry shrinking, right? Like,
but it is going to find its audience.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's just I don't know. There's not a huge amount of Superman love at the moment. Maybe one day.
I think Superman love's increasing. I think that
I said that. I said maybe one day.
Enough,
obviously, no, not at all. I mean, there's a lot of people I talk to.
Well, there's never enough.
Don't like Superman because they think he's a boring character, and I think that's a huge misunderstanding of the character and a lot of storylines that have come out for him.
I'm gonna say something incendiary, okay? And that is, and this is, I'm not a religious person, but it's that people, Superman, like the qualities of Superman is very similar to the qualities of Jesus. I'm not saying Superman is Jesus. I'm just saying that the qualities can be boring, but they're good. And that's why people almost reinvent Jesus. Like people's reinvention of Jesus and then the reinvention of Superman to be this like overpowered DBZ character, like that's what they want. And that's the same Jesus that they want, right? It's just...
Are you saying they want Jesus to go Super Saiyan? Is that what you just said?
I mean, kind of, in a way, metaphorically speaking.
I'd watch it.
You know?
I would watch it too.
The reinvention of this, of a good character, like a character that sole purpose is to be good, is people always, people don't want it.
I could...
Not generally speaking, but like a good amount of people do not want a good person.
If I had enough time and resources, I think that I could do an entire sociological study on the like comparing what's going on in the world to waning interest in Superman.
I think
that'd be interesting. I'd read that.
Well, people have brought up, like, depending on who's president, how do comics and media mirror that? Do we get lighter media or darker media? Because of, depending on how things go.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like,
right.
I don't know what the studies have shown, but the point being is that, like, I think Superman interest is increasing. And I think mostly it's because, well, somebody had mentioned, they said, this is literally the time for Superman when it comes to, it's about a reporter reporting about the news, trying to do good things to take down people that are abusing their power. Like, this is the moment for Superman to come back, to respect Superman. Superman's always been around, but the respect needs to come back.
Yeah.
You know, it's hokey and cheesy when you think of Reeves, but like, I personally think Superman and Lois has done a good considerable amount of
I agree.
I think so too, and I think we can kind of give a little bit of the credit to the fact that like James Gunn has announced that he's doing a Superman story, and you know, James Gunn is a name that people recognize because of his work in Marvel, so now people are like kind of on looking at it, and then it just is serendipitous that you have somebody like Philip Kennedy Johnson writing the book at the same time that people are going, oh, let's check out Superman. Let's see what's going on. What can I expect from this guy?
Yeah.
You know,
I don't know whether it's serendipity. I think it's correlation. I don't think it's causation, but I think it's correlation. I think this is the time for people to aspire to be like Superman.
Yeah.
Or Jesus.
I think a lot of people in general, when it comes to Superman, just think they know what Superman is, but they're wrong, and it's not their fault. It's just because of what's been sold to them over the years. Because like when people think of Superman, there was a period of time when people thought of Superman, they thought of Injustice.
Because so many evil versions of Superman.
Right. And I'm not even somebody who thinks like that evil versions of Superman are like bad or that they're like doing damage to the character or anything like that. I think that there is just needs to be a little bit of media literacy from people to recognize that his being evil is a commentary not on the character but on the world in which he's being created.
Right.
You know, like some of the best evil Superman stories, you know, like I mean Invincible is big right now.
Boys.
The Boys.
So take Invincible versus The Boys, and I don't want to get too off track with this, but like Invincible versus The
Too
Boys,
late, sir.
people say that they're so similar, evil Superman, blah blah blah. It's not about whether they have an evil Superman. It's what are they trying to show us through evil Superman. So
And
like The
Invincible-
Boys, it's like absolute power corrupts absolutely, right? Nobody with powers in The Boys. Did I say The Boys?
Yeah.
Nobody in The Boys who has powers ends up not corrupted. Right? The whole
Are
point.
they trying to compare Nolan Omni-Man to Homelander? Is that what you're trying to say?
Kind of, yeah. People draw the line of like evil Superman, and it's like
People-
evil Superman
yeah,
is
and-
not evil Superman. Evil
people-
they're
there
done
is-
in different ways.
If you look at them from a very surface level perspective, yeah, they're similar.
Wouldn't it be cool
But-
if Superman was bad?
It would be cool if Superman was bad.
Right, but that's the
Well, if you want to
that's
read
what they're
the
saying.
best evil Superman, you got to read Irredeemable. That's what you gotta read.
Irredeemable.
Yeah.
Irredeemable is incredible.
And that's Mark. Is that Mark Wade?
That's
Or no,
Mark
Kurt
Wade.
Busiek? Or is it?
Nope, it's Mark Wade.
It is Mark
Mark
Wade.
Wade.
And the companion book to it, Incorruptible.
Incorruptible.
The fact that
Such
those
a cool
books
idea.
exist at the same time
Such a
is
cool idea.
really cool. But yeah, like I mean, on the surface, yeah, it's exactly what you're saying. What if Superman was bad? But like they're accomplishing two totally different things.
Exactly.
With it. Homelander is. I don't think that Homelander is necessarily absolute power corrupts absolutely. I think Homelander, the main commentary is about unchecked capitalism.
Right, of course. Yeah. But like
You
it
know.
also is showing that like everybody who's rich is bad, or
Yeah.
if you're good, you end up being killed by the bad rich person.
Right.
Like, no matter what, if you're good is a liability in the boys universe.
Whereas
But in
in Invincible, now I'm gonna 100% say I have not finished reading Invincible,
okay.
but I am much further than where the television show is now, right?
Yeah.
And people who are discovering it now because of the television show are only getting part of Nolan's story.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what confused me about the comparison between Omni-Man and Homelander.
That's what I'm trying
I was
to say.
like,
Yeah.
4 different characters.
Because like really, and we're kind of starting to see it in where the television show is now, which also I have so many thoughts about the television show. Where it is right now, like we're kind of starting to see that it's not about how evil he can be, it's about how good can you become after you went so far, right?
Right.
Which one are we talking about? Homelander?
Invincible.
Invincible.
Yeah. Well, but in Invincible, good is not. It's in Boys, good is a liability, and in I think
Invincible, good is celebrated.
good is celebrated, and also good, no matter through the hardest of times, good is the way you move forward.
At least through Mark's perspective, yes. I can
Even
get
through
behind that.
Nolan, good is the way he moves forward.
I think
Through
I mean,
all the
sure,
Viltrumites,
sure,
the only
sure,
way
okay.
they could, the only way Invincible ends how it ends in issue 144.
I don't think it's
is-
good. I think it's love. I think love is in there. That's really put the driving factor of all those main characters that keeps them going.
The main characters,
mean,
yeah. But at the ending with, and I don't want to spoil anything, but the ending with the Viltrumites, it's not about love necessarily. I mean, some of them.
Yes,
but
it is. All the Viltrumites have families on Earth, right? So, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's,
Right.
there's a lot of love in there. There's a lot of love
I
behind
know,
that. Yeah.
but like, how do you change the universe? Is through good. Like, there's a
power of
future
love.
scene where somebody chooses not to fight, and chooses not to kill somebody else, and it's like That's not about love for that person. That's about being good and loving maybe other people, sure. But generally, maybe love and good go hand in hand. But
Maybe they go hand
I
in
think
hand.
so, yeah.
the point being is that like by being capable of love, you can be good, right? Maybe that's the thing. But,
Maybe that's the thing. Yeah, I like that.
But like,
I like
boys, it's like love and good is a liability. Love and good is what gets you killed.
Listen,
that. By the way, The Boys is like the rare occurrence where I'm like, watch the show. You don't need to read the comic book.
The
Yeah,
comic
I-
is horrible. I will never recommend the comic to anyone.
I don't either. I don't like Garth Ennis. Not Garth Ennis. Garth
Garth Ennis.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
Garth
Garth
Ennis.
Ennis.
Garth
I'm not a
Brooks.
huge fan of Garth Ennis, anyways. And so, don't read the comic if you
Yeah.
do. I mean, I guess you can, but the show is much better.
I will
Yeah.
actively tell people not to watch or not to read the Boys comic. That's the only comic I will actively tell people not to read.
Yeah.
My position on most things is experience it for yourself to form your own opinion. But here's mine, because don't I always tell people skip The Boys. Wanted is the only book I've ever just been like, I don't want this, you can have it,
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's-
Wanted it's so different from the movie. It's ridiculous. They're not even the same.
I like
thing.
the
It's
Wanted
crazy.
comic,
It's different. It's different.
not the movie, but
I think
Not-
The Boys is, in my opinion, dramatically worse than Wanted. But yes, it is a very
Yeah,
different.
yeah.
It's a different story.
yeah.
But all that is to say, Action Comics right now is really good.
Okay.
There we go. Yes, Superman in general. I'll
Because
piggyback on that.
Superboy, the Man of Tomorrow, was really
Yeah.
good.
That
By the
one-
way, the creator liked and commented in my video for it.
Kenny?
on
Ooh,
TikTok.
congratulations.
Yeah.
I also like
Joshua
Joshua Williamson's run right now too on Superman. I've been really loving that series right now too.
Mm.
Is Joshua Williamson's run right now?
Yeah,
I
it's
really
it's
liked.
great.
What's Joshua Williamson writing?
Superman,
Oh,
the main Superman book.
the
Yeah,
main Superman
Yeah.
book has been really good, and the art has been really good. The art really
Super
draws
good.
me in.
yeah, exactly.
The art isn't. What is it? Is it Jamal Igle?
Yes, I think so. At least the first story arc. Yeah,
He was born to draw Superman.
It's
Yep,
been
it's
really
just-
good art.
his art is very comic book. I like it, but like so different. Like
Yeah.
it's not like cheesy. I like it.
It is bananas how good it is.
Speaking about
but-
a really good miniseries, weirdly enough, antithesis of Superman, Peacemaker tries hard. It's on a lot of people's best comic list of 2023.
I
Is
didn't
it?
like it.
I didn't like it.
You didn't like it?
No.
I went in knowing that it was going to be in the same like tone
Cena
as the
inspired.
show. And
Yeah.
even then I was kind of just like, I think the show worked because John Cena is really good at delivering those lines.
Yeah.
So me reading it on paper is kind of just like, all right, this sounds like somebody trying to do the show.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of people really liked it, but it just didn't click with me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and say that I thought it was bad, because I don't necessarily think that it was bad. It just didn't work for me.
Yeah, it didn't catch me either. I'm not a huge fan of that kind. Just personally, I'm not a huge fan of that kind of character. That's why I don't like Deadpool either. Right? He's very Deadpool-esque, and so I'm not a huge fan of that kind of style of character. And just like the over the top gruesome violence is just not a thing I enjoy. So it just
I
didn't
don't
catch
normally
me.
enjoy that, no, but this caught me off guard. I liked it.
I'm glad. Fantastic.
Deadpool, though, this recent run of Deadpool, one of the best Deadpool runs ever. It was great.
Was it?
Did you guys read it at all?
I didn't read it.
I've been
No, I
trying
didn't read
to
it.
tell
I
people
didn't
to read
even know that it existed.
because it completely was unlike previous runs. It was
What
funny.
was different?
There's actual love. If you're talking about
He's-
love, let's
He's
talk
had
about
that
love,
before.
baby.
He's had that. He has both those things before.
Okay, whatever. Anyway, so it's written by I forget who it's written by, but it's I think 12 issues or something, and like basically Deadpool falls in love with there's an assassins guild, and he falls in love with one of them, and they're non-binary. A lot of people say that character is essentially a self-insert of the non-binary writer, but take that for what you will. I don't know, but the character is really good. They're a Venom symbiote or a Carnage symbiote gestates in Deadpool's kidney, and he gives birth to it, and it's a Carnage dog, and it's like played more like a dog that eats people, and it's just fun. Lady Deathstrike is also part of that Assassin's Guild, and Lady Deathstrike ends up becoming Deadpool's friend and dog sitter for the dog. And like Deadpool wants to go out on a date, a nice night alone, so then Lady Deathstrike has to look over the dog. There's this big old Assassin's Guild. Dr. Octopus is in it in the first at least couple issues. It has heart. I don't know. It has heart.
I'm glad
and
you
it's
enjoyed
funny.
it. Fantastic.
But it's unlike previous Deadpool stuff, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
And I would
All
say
right, fair
give it a
enough.
shot. Give it a shot.
Sure, of course. I'll read it.
I'm actually I'm upset that you enjoyed it.
Really?
That's I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Did you?
What if
did
it
you
just took
read
a turn like that? Listen, if you're
Well-
in here talking nice things about Deadpool,
That's how I feel about The Boys, though. That's the one comic. I'm like,
That's how I feel about the
if
boys.
you
yeah,
like
exactly.
it, if you like The Boys, I judge you for it. That's the only thing. I
All
can't.
right,
I
yeah.
can't help it.
If you like the comic for sure, I'm like, there's way better
Oh
comics.
no,
out
I'm
there.
talking about the comic, not the show. I like the show.
Yeah, the show's
comic.
good. The show's entertaining. But yeah, just watch the show. Enjoy. It's the same thing.
Enjoy.
This might be a hot take. This is the same thing I have for Umbrella Academy as well. I think that the show is vastly
well,
superior
that's
than the comic.
interesting.
Yeah.
I
But I'm not a huge fan of his writing. I don't like Jarway's writing.
I have not read Umbrella Academy yet, but I have volumes 1 and 3. I'm missing 2, and I've been meaning to, because I did enjoy the show quite a bit. So I mean, now I'm interested to see like how.
No, totally. People
Yeah.
love it. Like I said, I'm probably in the vast minority of that, but I just find Jarway's writing very disjointed, and you have to like understand him to
Mhm.
really like enjoy him.
You must
he's
make
not
love to the author first.
he's not someone that you jump into just fresh. Like
I'll tell you this. I wrote him off for a long time because I just don't care about his music at all.
Well, yeah, I mean the True Life. He wrote a comic for Dark Horse called The True Life of Fabulous Killjoys.
Yeah.
And you had to have listened to all his albums because there's a story through his albums, right? And you have to understand the albums because it picks up exactly where his last album left off. And I opened it up and I was so confused.
Yeah.
And it wasn't for me then, right? It wasn't for me, but it was very so limited and that's how he writes for like that. Like he writes in a way that you have to just kind of like go with it and pick up eventually what he's trying to say, kind of decode what he's trying to say.
Are there other DC titles that really worked really well? I think Mark Waid's been killing it. Anything Mark Wade wrote this year.
World's Finest, yeah.
World's Finest has been really good. I think there was a little bit where it dipped, where I kind of wasn't as into it. But now what's going on with like the returning to Kingdom Come, I've really been enjoying that. You know what? There is a part of me that thinks this could just be coincidence, or it's not.
So, I mean, those are two options.
Yeah, right. It's either a coincidence or it's an incredibly intentional. The character who becomes Magog, is called originally Boy Thunder, and now he's Thunder Man, right? In the newest issue, he's called Thunder Man.
Yeah.
Last year, Alan Moore put out a book of short stories, like prose short stories. And in the back of it is a novella that he wrote that's a fictionalized version of the history of comics, as he interprets it. And he is essentially writing it to explain why he quit. Okay. And in it, it's called What We Can Know About Thunderman. And in it, the like stand-in for the Superman comic is this character called Thunderman that is like, you know, he's the first superhero in this, you know, story that he's writing, which is not like, it's not like a story about superheroes, it's a story about people who make them. And I can't help but wonder if Mark Waid is doing that to kind of like draw a connection to people who know that, because like this is a story that's like his story was the Alan Moore story is a meta commentary about his experience in the superhero industry or in the comics industry.
Right.
Kingdom Come is maybe not directly, maybe not like the intention was to do this, but it is a response to the way that comics changed post Watchmen. So
Sure.
I'm wondering if there is like, if he's doing this on purpose to be like, to draw a connection to Alan Moore once again with his Kingdom Come return.
I mean, yeah. Shout out to Arkamani 56 saying was a really big fan of the Wade Moore Shazam run that started this year. Excited to see the conclusions. The Shazam run, so good.
Yeah, it's great.
I will just before we
silly
I
and
know we're
goofy,
running out of
and I
time.
love it.
I'll say my favorite DC book this year. I think the best DC book that I've loved this year had to have been Birds of Prey. I think Birds of Prey is phenomenal.
Birds of Prey is awesome.
Art's phenomenal. Story is great, and anyone can jump into it and enjoy. And it's action packed. There's a lot of great dialogue, which I love. Just such a powerful book. I've loved the Birds of Prey.
It's exactly what I love, except, and I've been waiting a long time for Birds of Prey to come back. I haven't read it. I read the first couple pages of the first issue, and then I stopped.
Yeah,
I just haven't been able to like jump back on.
It is great.
Okay, I need to.
Yeah,
I need to. I know.
And this is coming. I'm not a huge fan of Harley Quinn on books, like the other Birds of Prey run that they had, the black label one.
Yeah.
Not a huge fan. Like I think Harley Quinn's fine, but I'm not a huge fan of her on this. Usually, was not excited to have her on this team. I'm totally fine with her being on the team. I think
do you know what
they use her very, very well.
Do you know what it feels like, since you brought this up earlier, how you're not a fan of Deadpool? This Birds of Prey series feels like what it's doing with Harley Quinn is like what Rick Remender was doing with Deadpool in Uncanny X-Force.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the only time I really enjoyed Deadpool. He balances the rest of the team, and the dark and gritty and Murder Squad balances Deadpool so well that you don't even notice. And I liked him on that. Thank you, Brick, for bringing that up, Drew. That was phenomenal. Yes, his run on Remender's run on Uncanny X-Force really got me to actually enjoy reading Deadpool.
I would be very surprised if Kelly Thompson is like if she ever actively says, no, that wasn't an influence on my Birds of Prey, because it feels a lot like it. And I'm not saying that to be like, oh, it's derivative or anything like that. It's a compliment. It feels like a really cool companion piece to that. I've really immensely been enjoying Birds of Prey.
It's funny. There's funny parts in there, which I like. There's humor. There's drama. There's like, I just love the dialogue. Everyone feels so individual. Like there's no blending of characters. Like it just feels so great.
Yeah. I think it's fantastic. I've really been enjoying it so far. I'm a sucker for Black Canary. She's among my favorite DC characters. So like anytime she's kind of in a book, I get pretty excited about it, because I think she's also one that doesn't get explored to death. There's new things to say about her. She's
read the original like 121 issue Birds of Prey run with Black Canary if you want some in-depth Black Canary run.
Is that the Gail Simone one?
Well, I mean, she does a couple story arcs later on, but even the beginning stuff, especially when Black Canary and Barbara are trying to form the birds, ridiculously good.
I want to be able to hit Marvel before we get going. I think Marvel had some really good hits. I didn't care so much for Sins of Sinister, and I'm not a big fan of this Fall of X era, but the Hellfire Gala for X-Men, being a huge X-Men fan myself, I thought it was great. Like the Hellfire Gala this year, amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I first off, I love that they do this Hellfire Gala in general. Just like I like that Marvel's doing these timeless issues. That's kind of like letting you know what's the big storylines coming up for Marvel.
Yeah,
I think that's really fun, and I like the Hellfire Gala issues in general. I liked this one. I agree with you. Haven't been a huge fan of this Fall of X. I think there's a lot of potential. I think we're getting in the downswing, and then we can see it coming up very soon.
I don't know.
Hopefully,
I'm afraid of what's going to happen.
Yeah, I need them to kind of tie in. I think that's the thing I've been missing. Like X-Men, X-Men is what got me started into comics.
Yeah.
Wolverine #1 was my very, very first comic, and I read X-Men is what got me through the 90s. They will always have a huge part in my heart, and they're just not tied to anything. I think that's the thing I've been missing. I've been loving Hickman's
They're-
Powers of X, right? I
Yeah.
love that whole thing, but they're not connected to the rest of the Marvel universe too much. And usually they're not, right? You can read X-Men and just enjoy that.
Oh.
But they usually something ties them in, and I kind of need that a little
I
bit.
like Krakoan era stuff. The Fall of X stuff is not.
That's what I'm saying. I do too.
Yeah. Drew, you don't read much Marvel, right? Or you do?
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't really. I mean, I got my characters who I do read, one of which is Moon Knight, but I have not read Moon Knight since like issue 3. I've gotten every issue that's come out, but I'm just like way behind on it. I loved the Daredevil run, the Chip Zdarsky Daredevil run from beginning to end. It ended this year. I was a big fan of it. There were things here and there that I picked up. I mean, I like the new I like the couple issues of the new Captain America. It's been
enjoying, really good. Yeah.
I've been enjoying the
completely
Blade book that's out right now.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
Good mention.
I love
Yes,
his
the new
issue
Blade
with
series is
Dracula
really
recently.
good.
That issue that just came out with Dracula, where he's
Yeah.
training with him.
I've never read a Blade series before, so this is a first for me, and I like it. I think it's cool. One that I wish that I had kept up on, because I was sticking with it closely, like definitely making sure to read it every week that it came out. But then I fell off of it. But I enjoyed what I read, and it was another one, a book that I had never read before, but I hopped on the new Fantastic Four. And
sure.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it quite a bit.
It's
I mean,
fun science fiction.
Yeah, I
antics
mean,
right now.
it was cool. I liked where, it felt very there was an overarching story, but like each issue was kind of self-contained for a while.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool.
I didn't like the beginning of it too much. The first, like how individual each issue was.
Yeah.
But it built it. It was needed. I'm glad I kept reading.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely written for trade.
Yeah, totally.
That first arc, It's
Yeah,
like-
because each one coming out once a month, like it was like this is what I got. Like in
I
the
don't
next
know-
month, like what? This is nothing now.
that's the thing about those issues in general. It's like I need to know what I'm in for. Like if I'm gonna look forward to the next month, I gotta know roughly what I'm in for and trust that it's gonna give me something enjoyable.
I think that was the downfall of that book a little bit, is the fact that each of the first 3 issues were so by themselves,
Yeah.
right? And like it was so confusing. Like where are we going with this? And I think a lot of people dropped it at that point. And that
Why would you pay for the next issue if you don't even know if you like what the next issue is, or the vibe, or whatever, But
vibe.
I have like that. I do want to shout out the series Strange, and then its subsequent Doctor Strange, with Doctor Strange coming back. And they both kind of tie into each other. Doctor Strange, also a character that I don't really care for, but a good writer will make a character work.
I agree with that.
I don't even know who the writer is right now, but the new Strange comic has been really good.
Are you reading Gods too?
No,
I strongly just read Gods.
Why should I care?
Strongly. Why should you care? It's going to be pretty important in the Marvel universe coming up. Like just from the first 3 issues, it's going to be extremely impactful.
I read the first issue.
Yeah, not only with he was introduced in the Hellfire Gala.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's going to be very important in the Marvel universe coming up. So I strongly just reading Gods. I also am going to throw out Wolverine. I liked the Wolverine book. Percy, Wolverine's been good.
I have not read any of Wolverine recently, but couple years back, I did pick up a couple of Benjamin Percy's issues, specifically when Adam Kubert was doing art.
Yeah, of course.
And I enjoyed it. I don't know why I didn't keep up with it. Maybe it's just I had too much on my pull list or whatever. But I liked what I was reading. So I mean, if it's continuing with that, then yeah.
So Cohen era Wolverine has been really good.
I completely agree. He found his home. It feels like he knows what he's about. The writers know what he's about. He's not overproduced like about 10 years ago. Wolverine was in everything. He's not anymore, and I think this is a really good balance.
There is one other Marvel series that I have to talk about.
Yeah,
it's another character who every time they release a number 1, I buy it and then I don't get number 2. But this is the first time that I've continued with it. And it's, again, my guy, Philip Kennedy Johnson. That Incredible Hulk run has been great so far.
The horror-esque one?
It's so good.
Okay.
So good.
I've read the first issue.
Yeah, he has a knack. I want to eventually start getting to the point where I can like interview comic creators.
Yeah.
And I want to annoy him on Twitter to the point where he's just like, yes, I will talk to you on TikTok.
Please do.
Because I just want to talk to him about Superman and the Hulk.
Okay.
Crazy. He's writing 2 of the strongest Marvel combo characters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Marvel Unleashed. It's the Pet Avengers miniseries. It was good and it was sad to the point of like, why are you purposely making this sad? I've talked about it previously on Comic Talk, and I don't want you to go into it any further other than they created a new character named D-Dog, who's literally a character that it's a dog without an owner that has never had love before, but feels the need to protect people, but doesn't feel that when she dies, she will have anybody to meet her on the Rainbow Bridge.
Wow, that's sad.
I know. Why did they do this?
I've been very D-Dog this year.
I'm sorry.
Is that a play? Is that a play of the D-Man character
Yeah.
from Marvel as well? Yeah.
So
okay.
D-Dog is just a regular dog, and she finds D-Man's mask in the trash and puts it on,
okay.
and she
Got
is just an unloved dog, and it's and the other Pet Avengers are like, oh yeah, when you die, you end up at the Rainbow Bridge, and your owners will meet you and walk across the bridge with you. And she goes, I've never had an owner. If I die before I ever get an owner, like, I'll just be there.
That really
alone.
makes you think and feel things that are very sad.
Read it if you like. It's not Stray Dogs level
don't
sad, but it's very similar in the vein of Stray Dogs.
Oh,
in the sense of
everyone needs to be careful with Stray Dogs. It looks like a Disney book. It is not a Disney book.
Is-
Do not be fooled by that art.
Is Stray Dogs a really sad book?
have you not read it?
I have a copy of it
Ooh.
that
You
I
need
have.
to
Good
read
luck.
it.
Yeah, read it.
You
Good luck.
need to read it. It's a must read. I don't recommend very many like.
I'm gonna tell you something that is very, very true about me and all of the media I consume.
You hate dogs?
I am indifferent to dogs.
Oh.
However, if I'm reading it, like all the media that I consume, if I go a long time without it making me super sad, I get bored. I need really sad
I get
stories.
behind that. You need some drama.
I love a sad movie. I love sad music.
Yeah.
Right. Give me all kinds of sad books. And most of the comics that I've been reading this year have not done that for me. And I think that that's one of the reasons why I've been just like, I felt very disconnected from a lot of the stuff that I'm reading.
Huh. So the question
I
is,
can-
what
I
are the
can-
sad
I can say that
books
too,
from,
yeah.
What
I'd
are the
get behind
sad
that,
books
Drew,
from
yeah.
2023?
I need the saddest books.
Marvel Unleashed.
Yeah.
Marvel
no.
Unleashed from this year. Stray Dogs from last year.
Yeah.
Mike, you got one? What are the sad books?
Sad
Everybody's
book?
trying to be all happy.
Yeah. Happiness is
Or-
nice.
Happy, inspirational. I don't want that crap. Listen, I'm trying to cry my eyes out.
What characters have died recently?
It doesn't matter because they all come back. That's not sad anymore.
Yeah. Well, I disagree. My belief is it isn't about whether you believe a character is going to come back or not, or whether their death actually happens. It's what you do in your last moments that matter. So when Peter Parker gets snapped away in Infinity War, you know that Spider-Man's not dead. Like, you can argue that some of the other characters could die for real, but Spider-Man won't. But his begging to be saved hurts.
That is my favorite moment in the MCU.
But did you think he was gonna die for good? No.
No, I knew he was going to come back, but
Right.
but the thing is, the character didn't know he was going to come back.
Exactly. That's what.
And-
Yeah.
And that's a big deal for me. I think that the last few character deaths I've read, they weren't written like they didn't think they were going to come back.
Right.
And so, yeah.
Toy Story 3 kills me every time. When they're on
Yeah.
a conveyor belt and they think they're going to die, they hold each other's hands.
Can I yes, that is very sad. And but
Yeah.
my students think that I'm a stupid person because I told them Toy Story 4 is better than Toy Story 3. Listen, I think Toy Story 3 is very good, but I think Toy Story 4 is better.
Okay.
And that's a hill I'll die
Fair
on.
I'm
enough.
not gonna
Yeah,
I'm not
fair
gonna
enough.
argue because I think that's a matter of taste. Like, you know,
Speaking-
what you're into.
Oh,
Uh,
I'll throw this one last look. Sorry to 180 the topic. I've been really enjoying Uncanny Spider-Man as well. This for Marvel for throwing out that one for this
Oh,
year.
That is a book
I've
that
been really
looks
enjoying that one.
That is a book that looks really cool. I haven't read
I didn't
it.
think it was going to work, but it does.
Yeah.
I think it was a weird premise, and I was like, oh, that's really weird. Let's give it a shot. I'm glad I did. It's really, really fun, and is getting pretty deep now with Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
And you know, Nightcrawler has a lot of trauma in his past.
Yeah.
It's really kind of unloading that right now.
He's
It's
getting really
good.
deep with Silver Sable, am I right?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah,
That's
he's
what
a
I hear.
he's a lazy. He knows what he's doing, man. He
Yeah.
knows what he's doing.
Sensational She-Hulk. Rainbow Rolls and Sensational
Yeah, I mean-
She-Hulk. You don't like
I
it?
loved her run. I loved Rainbow's
She's
original
back at it.
She-Hulk run. I know, and I like this run as well. I just like the character She-Hulk, so
Yeah.
I might have a little bit of a soft spot for that.
And the art's great.
And the art is fantastic. So yeah, I don't think the book is anything too like genre changing, but I've
No.
been really enjoying. If you like She-Hulk, you will love this book.
X-Men Red. You
What
like
about
it? You like it?
It's fine. Like, I don't know. It feels like it's missing something, and I don't think it's Magneto, but I feel like it's missing something for.
Well,
for-
it started
for-
off
for me.
really strong, and then
Yeah.
I don't like the Civil War part necessarily, but I still think it keeps that level of you know, I don't know.
Sure,
It keeps
sure.
a certain something.
Yeah, I can see that. Like, yeah, like I don't know. I don't have a comment on it, and like I can't figure out what I don't like about it.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like it's missing something for me.
Yeah.
But like I say, I'm not saying anything that you said is wrong. I agree. I completely agree.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Okay, it
Okay,
doesn't catch me.
okay.
I know you really like it. I know you do.
I mean, again, I didn't like the Civil War as much, but previous to the Civil War, with even with the Axe Judgment Day stuff, that's tie-in. Oof, loved it.
Are we excited for the new Ultimate Universe coming up? I
No.
know we were talking about Ultimate Invasion before, but
Not at all. Oh, you want to talk about Ultimate Invasion?
that was out this year. Yeah, Ultimate Invasion was out
Blech,
this year.
blech, blech.
I liked it. I liked Ultimate Invasion.
I finished it and I was like, where did it go? What is it
I like
doing?
that. I like the maker asked Miles if he wanted to go with him, and Miles said no, and he respected that. I liked that a lot, actually.
I was reading that. I have no connection to the Ultimate Universe at all. I've never
Yeah.
read any of the Ultimate stuff. And I picked it up just kind of on a whim. I didn't finish it, but I liked what I read a lot.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Like I don't consider that like a lack of, you know, whatever. I don't think there's an actual reason to dislike it per se. It's just not what I want.
Do we need the Ultimate Universe right now, Dimitri?
I don't
Do we
think we
need
do.
this?
I
You don't think we do?
Because my thing is this. What does let's take it back to the early 2000s. What does the ultimate mean, and what is the purpose of it, both in universe and out of universe? The purpose of it was to draw in new readers with a new, fresh new start in concepts and topics and series that have been around for decades, but that are fresh and anew, right? And then that's the initiative purpose, right? And then it was also to make it hipper and funky fresh. Make it
Yeah,
maybe
they updated them.
testing the
Yeah.
boundaries a little bit, but like it's modern day. So it's not just that the Ultimate Universe is to bring in new readers with a new start. It's also it is taking place in the here and now. So we will bring up Jennifer Tilly, which doesn't apply nowadays in 2023, but it applied back then, right? But this new Ultimate line doesn't seem to be doing any of that.
What, making it more
accessible to new readers?
Current event kind of thing?
Ultimate Invasion was a mess for new readers. If a new reader jumped in on Ultimate Invasion,
oh yeah, I was confused.
Someone who's never read a comic book in their life jumping
I was
in.
gonna say I'm new to that, and I really liked it.
Right. But at least you understand the concept of like shared universes. But like Ultimate X-Men back in the day, Ultimate X-Men #1, like it's only for people who like maybe they didn't even know X-Men, or maybe they knew X-Men a little bit. They jumped in, boom, boom, boom. They're golden. But this Ultimate Invasion was not good for new readers.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, but
I'm excited for it because I know it. But yes, if you're saying what's the point of the Ultimate Universe? Yes, I don't think it's living up to the point. I think it's changing.
I don't
keep the name
intended for that. Like this
to get people like me.
Series. I don't think that this series is intended to be a jumping on point for new readers. I think that it's supposed to be a return for, it's
super convoluted is what it was.
It's marketed towards people who were nostalgic for the Ultimate Universe, but it's doing it in a smart way.
Okay. So,
it felt smart to me.
No, I mean, it was. I like Jonathan Hickman. I do. I don't understand the point. So
then how are you surprised about the confusion?
Why should I care? And this is something that I've been asking myself for even the things that I like. Why should I care? And when I realize why, then I go, why do I care, right? Like, when I realize that I like something, why do I care about these things? Why do I care about Superman when maybe 15 years ago, I wasn't the biggest fan of Superman, right? But like now, why do I care? Why should I care? Why should other people care? Why do I care? This new Ultimate X-Men thing with Peach Momoko, the art's going to be amazing. But why should I care?
First off, I love Peach Momoko as an artist. If you've ever read Demon Days or any of that stuff, I'm not a huge fan of her writing.
Yeah.
But I think her art is beautiful. Stunning, in fact. But if I'm going to be cynical for a second, I guess, to answer your question, it's just marketing. It's just to get people love #1s. People love #1s. People will buy the crap out of #1s.
You're saying Ultimate is just a known name, like a title?
It's #1s.
It's Ultimate
it's how to put in another Spider-Man book. It's how to put in the market without seeming like it's oversaturated, right? Like it's a new Spider-Man book that people are going to pick up because there's a Spider-Man #1, right? It's Ultimate's #1, right? Like it's these new #1s that's going to put in there. So from a purely retail and market perspective, it's just going to do well because of the #1.
I think they should have gone a new direction with it, or dare I say an old direction with it. The purpose of what Marvel did with the Ultimate Universe is different in the way it differs with DC doing the New 52. So Ultimate managed to have, Marvel had the 616 and the Ultimate Universe separate than each other at the same time, telling different stories in different universes, and they wouldn't cross over until decade plus later. Okay?
So Spider-Man.
They purposely kept them separate. And they allowed each character, you can have Peter Parker, young Peter Parker, and old Peter Parker, right? You could tell different stories. Great. Ultimate X-Men the same way. DC didn't do that with New 52. They just ultimized halfway some of the characters.
It was a hard reboot.
It was a hard reboot without the original universe existing.
Yeah.
But then
the universe hard rebooted, yeah.
Right. So with this new Ultimate X-Men thing, my problem has been Peter Parker needs to grow up in the 616. So I would assume I would have liked the Ultimate Spider-Man to be a past Peter Parker, like a young Peter Parker story. Do it again, but you can modernize it and put new twists and new turns, whatever. Make Harriet Osborn for all I care, and make Mary Jane Michael Jane. I don't care. But the point being is you can tell new stories that way.
I'm hoping it's the opposite. I'm hoping that, because it's an adult Peter with a kid, right? It's a family.
I don't want that though.
Well, hear me out. I'm hoping that's where you get the adult Peter. I'm hoping now they make Miles the Amazing Spider-Man, right? We still have Peter as Spider-Man in the Ultimate Universe. It's just totally flip him. Make Miles the center of attention in the main 616. I think have the main 616 Peter take a step back and play it like Batman Beyond status, Bruce Wayne, man behind the desk, man in the chair kind of thing. For Miles, I think that would be a really good step forward for Miles. First off, for Miles' character, and you don't lose the Peter Parker character because now he's in the Marvel, the Ultimate Universe.
I got two things. First, I think that this version of the Ultimate Universe is not for new readers. I think that it is.
I completely agree with you.
Then what is for new readers? That's the problem. We're neglecting your readers. But continue. Sorry.
I mean, I don't necessarily think that we are neglecting new readers. To the extent, I mean, it's hard. But I don't think that the Ultimate line was being pushed to new readers. I think that it was being pushed to old readers who wanted to see that come back, right? And that's why it's not being it's not doing what the old Ultimate Universe did. The other thing, you said you don't care if they make Mary Jane Michael Jane.
Yeah.
I think they should make Mary Jane Thomas Jane as the punishment.
Okay. So I will have to say that, like, that's a good job. That's a good job.
That was good. I did not see that. It's really good.
Ultimate, I wouldn't be where I am right now as a comic book reader, as a content creator, if it wasn't for the Ultimate Marvel Universe.
Yeah. But
yeah, I love the Ultimate Marvel.
I wouldn't have
Spider-Man and X-Men.
But the thing is, I think that the three of us, presumably all at least in our 30s, sitting here talking.
I'm Gen Z, fam. 19 years old.
He is.
19 years young. Continue.
I believe that.
Any 19-year-olds don't talk about Ultimate Marvel got me into comics.
I believe that as much as I believe that Thomas Jane is Mary Jane.
Yes.
But I think we just have to recognize the majority of, it comes back to what we're talking about at the very beginning of this. The majority of people reading superhero comics are not children anymore. They're people our age. And there's a whole bunch of reasons for that we could get into if we really wanted to sit down and talk about it. But the one character, the absolute one character that young people, teenagers really want to read about in mainstream superhero comics is Miles Morales.
I agree.
And if Marvel wants to get new readers, they're not focusing on where he used to be. They're focusing on where he is now.
Okay.
And so, like, they're not pushing the Ultimate Universe to a new reader. If they want to get new readers, if Marvel really wants to get new readers, they push Miles, right? Miles needs to be like the guy.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying. He should be the amazing Spider-Man.
We all agree.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, all that is to say, they're going to focus on trying to get people into 616 because 616 has trade paperbacks and 616 has other characters that he can, you know, like, so that's going to be the most money making. I mean, if I don't know that they're going to do this, but I'm just saying that, like, if they were smart, that's the way that they would do it. If they were, I mean, if they were smart, I haven't played Spider-Man 2, but if Marvel was smart about that, they include, you know, a picture of a trade paperback that you can go and buy and be like, oh, here's where, you know, Miles Morales did this in this, or this is where this costume was from, right? That's what they need to be doing.
Right. I think Miles needs to be the main Spider-Man. I think Peter Parker needs to grow up, get married to Mary Jane, settle down, and put on the suit every so often, or have his series be about him starting a family. Great.
Talking about Ultimate
Miles
Spider-Man.
needs to make the one. But and I also think that a cool twist of Ultimate Spider-Man would have been, what if Miles was a 30-something-year-old guy? He was the first Spider-Man, and Peter Parker was the second.
Well, I think now that we're talking about this is making me think the new Ultimate line is a brand new light. Dimithri, the Ultimate line is for us. I think exactly what
I
you're
don't
talking about.
need
The
it.
616 is the new one, is
But-
where all the new readers are going to
Which
go.
is good. No matter where it is, new readers have to come and get into comics. So, okay, fine. That's fine. If they're shuffling old people into the Ultimate universe and they're shuffling new people in the 616, then old people might not complain so much that the 616 is changing. But that's also the problem, is the old people wanting comics to be the same as when they were younger.
Sure.
I get it. I get the irony that I'm talking about, like why the changes. But I'm also trying to fight for the new readers, the teenagers that want to see Miles and but need
I
a
think-
fresh new start with like some of these things.
I think we do also have to be kind of realistic just in looking at what has been the most marketable emotion in the last 10 years
Uh-huh.
has been nostalgia. Like everything
Yeah.
has been nostalgia based. All like and we're getting to the point now where it's starting to roll over, and like nostalgia is going to be sold to the teenager who
I'm
came
going to
into,
argue against this, by the way.
the nostalgia is going to be
No
sold
way.
to the teenager who came into the MCU when they were
Okay. That's
8
that's
years
good.
old.
Yeah.
and
I didn't look at it that way.
because like
Nostalgia has always existed, though.
it has always existed, but it's never been as marketable as it is now.
Yeah, Drew, I completely agree with you. Yeah.
Because there's been so many IPs. But I would argue that there are IPs out there that are just getting started right now that will be nostalgized later. Bluey being the phenomenon that it is.
I agree with you. But I don't think that the comics industry is particularly interested in that new IP yet. It's just mainstream comics anyway. They're not interested in that just yet. They're interested in what's been trending. Oh, nostalgia is trending. Okay, so let's go back to the Ultimate Universe and sell that to the people who loved it 20 years ago.
I both you guys, I agree with you that maybe the Ultimate line isn't for new readers, it's for old readers. That changes my outlook. Then it might as well just be a what if title, because that's also my problem with what if.
That's what the Ultimate Universe was.
I mean, what if
in a
are more like
way-
just one shots? Like, if you want a whole universe, you need to kind of branch off on its own.
Yeah, but that's my, I don't know. This might be a topic that we have to continue at another time.
Yeah, it's getting late for me, guys. I'm sorry.
Are there any final books that we didn't get to talk about that you guys really recommend people either to read or that you think is deserving of best comic of 2023? Anything like really big? Poison Ivy was really good.
I was gonna say
Poison Ivy is really good.
Yeah, I was gonna say Poison Ivy. I was gonna say Poison Ivy. I was gonna say Green Lantern, Alan Scott.
Yeah, I agree with Alan
Jay
Scott
Garrick
for sure.
the Flash has
Jay
been
Garrick Flash is really good too.
really sweet.
Yeah, it's been really good. I don't know what to think about Tom King's Wonder Woman right now.
I
think
love
it's one
it.
of my favorite characters. I'm very compelled by it. I'm captivated by this book. I read it it's one of my first reads every single week when it comes out. But I don't know how to feel about it yet. I really don't. It's very compelling. The story is very compelling.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it, and it was when we were, before we started this, Dimithri kind of sent us like a series of categories. For me, Wonder Woman was the best of the DC books this year, until I remembered that I liked action so much.
Yeah. But I mean, strengthening the big three is important for DC, right? Big three being Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman. And at least they're doing that. They used to just strengthen Batman.
Yeah.
And now like they're putting more time into Wonder Woman. By the way, Cali Comics on YouTube says, "Oh man, look at that 9/8 comics and games in the background." So You know,
Thank you.
there you go for that. And Arkamani 56 says, for Marvel, I love the J.M. DeMatteis Magneto run, fun short story.
Oh, sure. Yeah, totally. I mean, that's that writer's phenomenal.
Yeah. But I forget what we were talking about.
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman.
I'm liking it so far. We'll see where it goes in 2024.
That's what I'm saying. I'm very captivated.
Yeah.
The only thing that worries me is that I don't believe that Tom King can write an ongoing story. So I'm hoping he either leaves before he becomes the villain, as they say.
He's gonna get 12 issues in and dip out.
I think he can pull off 2 good story arcs. I think that's what he can, or 1 big one. I think
that hasn't been announced yet, but it's just, it feels like it is.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna. This is technically the Wonder Woman ongoing series. So who's going to take on after him? Like what he's going to leave the Wonder Woman looking like, the world for her after this, and who would want to jump on after that? I don't know, but I am just worried. I hope he doesn't continue on. I hope he's just here for a story arc or 2. I really do. If we learned anything from Batman, because Tom King can write a great miniseries or maxi series, he can write a great maxi series. I don't think he's capable of writing an ongoing series.
Yeah. Okay. You guys have any more final thoughts before we get going?
Read comic books, man. That's the message here. Go out and read some comic books. It's hard. It can be difficult it can be intimidating is what I mean, but jump in. I know that's a washy answer that people don't like sometimes, but it's how, it's how people get into it. There's a lot out there. Just pick something and go in and be a little confused, and that's the mystery, and go solve that mystery.
I've been talking with a few people specifically online who have been saying, things like, it's like, where do you start with comics? And it is so human and normal to want to start at the beginning of something, but with superhero comics, there is no beginning and there's no end. It really is. They're less like novels and more like folk tales, in the sense that, like, when you tell the story of Santa Claus, do you tell the story, from the beginning, talk about his birth, and then go all the way to his death? Like, nobody really does that. It's just kind of like, okay, so Santa Claus is this guy, this is what he does. And then everybody has their own little Santa Claus story, right? But
I like Santa Claus War World Saga.
Yeah. Yeah, the one
I like Grant Morrison Klaus. That's great.
I have not read that yet. I think
You're
I
talking
have
real stories. Okay, yeah.
But no, I'm talking about like, everybody has their Santa Claus story that when they're a kid, they tell it, and it's never beginning, middle, and end. It's just like, oh, Santa Claus was at my house and he ate one of my cookies. Oh,
Right.
And it's like stuff like that. None of those stories have to connect with the next story that the kid tells, but it also doesn't have to negate the story that
it shouldn't negate. But yeah, if it's in a shared universe continuity,
that is what superhero comics are. They're just a little snapshot into, like, this, these characters' lives. My favorite thing about superhero comics is that if I think one of them is bad, I can just ignore it.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't. And it doesn't have to, shape my experience any more than that.
Yeah.
Continuity, in my mind, continuity can be pick and choose, and I think that it should be. I mean, it just makes it better.
I completely agree, and I think it's people intimidated by people thinking, like, if their character, is not liked by other people, like their favorite character is not liked, or they think, other people are calling their favorite character like the worst or the weakest or whatever. All these silly arguments. Like, this is a medium that changes on the weekly, right? Yeah. Everything, all these people saying facts online about comic book facts, right? This character is this. Give it a week, give it a new artist and writer. That fact is gone now, right? Here's the new canon, right? So, like, it doesn't just enjoy.
Yes and no, but yeah.
Another thing.
Yes and yes, Dimithri.
Another thing that I say very often, since you were talking about, like the strongest or whoever, it's like superheroes have this really interesting potential, this really, really fascinating quality, where if you pick any year pick any time frame, and you go and you read the superhero books that were coming out at that time, you can find out what people were afraid of, what made people anxious. You can find out what inspired them. You can find out what made them like hopeful for the future, right? And when you're reading superhero comics now, you're getting like this kind of mirror of, reflecting back at you, like this is what the culture is talking about. And when you boil that down to just who can punch the hardest, you are losing so much of what makes them interesting. And frankly, it is just the most boring conversation that you can have about them.
I definitely agree with you. I think that feats change in the daily, right? And like every character, Squirrel Girl took down Galactus and Doctor Doom. But like if you like Squirrel Girl, it shouldn't be because of that. If you like Squirrel Girl, it should be because you like Squirrel Girl, right? And like I compare it to when you were saying who would win in a fight between Superman and Batman. That's everybody being like, my dad can beat up your dad. Yeah. Do you love your dad, or do you just like the fact that he could beat up other dads? Or if your dad can't beat up other dads, do you love him any less? Or more?
I think it's just giving people a space to able to talk about these things without being belittled. I think that's the thing I'd like to take into 2024 is to build up the community a little better. I think having these stories, people want to talk about them. I know I do. I started on the clock app for, in a time in my life where I needed to be able to connect with some more people, and it worked, right? I was able to build a community from it, and that's what I want to try to instill more in people wanting to read comics. And like, don't be afraid of the backlash community. There's some really good people out there, and they want to talk comics with you too, because some people don't have enough people to talk comics with. So just enjoy.
Yeah. I agree with you.
Thank you guys, both of you, for being on this show, being on previous shows. This has been a year, and Comic Talk's been around maybe 2020. What was it? 2021? I don't know. 2022, 2021. I think it's
2021. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was on a show in 2021 for you.
Yeah. And it's been around a while. It's been nice to be able to talk to people about this, and you guys are always great guests to have. And the show isn't anything without the guests.
I agree with you. I am a great guest to have.
And the show would be nothing without me.
I am so humbled right now.
Thank you guys so much. I mean, right now, as of filming this, as of recording, it's December 30th, 2023. So hopefully 2024 is a better year for comics, a better year for us, better year for everything involved. And yeah, I got hope that that's what it's going to be. Thank you guys so much for coming on the show. Thank you to everybody out there for watching this show. Before we get going, Michael, where can we find you? What do you got coming up? Anything you want to
plug? Sure. My main site is For the Love of Comics on TikTok, and it's all the other socials as well. Follow my comic shop. My comic shop is 98, 9 spelled out, the number 8. The link in all my socials, and I'll be doing content for both. And if you need something, comics, go to your local comic store. Support your local comic store.
Yeah. Are you findable on comicshoplocator.com or no?
I am, yes.
Oh yeah.
All
right, comicshoplocator.com, everybody. Drew, where can we find you? What do you got coming up? Anything you want to
plug? So my address is 674. I'm just kidding. You can find me on the internet. You can find me on the internet. Just,
cool.
If you look around. Now, Drew X Deficit on pretty much every social media app. I'm around trying to do 2024. I'm trying to do more music stuff. So maybe that's a thing that I'll get back into.
Do you do commission work? Music for hire? Do you do music for hire? Like commission?
No. I'm just trying to do bands again.
Bands.
Because I missed that, and all my friends moved away, and so that was how I connected with people.
Yeah.
So, hopefully, working on some more writing stuff. But for right now, I'm just teaching.
All right. Cool. For anyone out there who is still watching and or listening, you're watching us on twitch.tv/The Keeg Show or youtube.com/The Keeg Show. Shout out to Arkamani56 on Twitch. Shout out to Carson out on Twitch. Shout out to Wednesday Pull out on Twitch. And shout out to Cali Comics on YouTube. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you're on, or if you're listening to us, it's our podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, SoundCloud, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts from. If you're on social media, TikTok and Instagram are our two biggest ones, at The Keeg Show on TikTok and Instagram, or Facebook, Threads, Twitter, do all that stuff, at The Keeg Show, /The Keeg Show, wherever. Go to comicshoplocator.com, find a comic shop near you, one that you vibe with, and if you want to vibe with us by donating to us, patreon.com/The Keeg Show. We also got a new website with articles, thekeegshow.com. Pretty much it's The Keeg Show everywhere, you know? We got the Keeg Talks every weekend where we talk about a different topic every week. We got Comic Talk, which is every Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, where we talk about new comics that came out that week. And every month, we're going to be doing an X-Men catch-up sort of show called State of X. So State of X, first episode, I think is like February 3rd or something. Talk about all the X-Men stuff that came out in January, you know? So definitely stay tuned for that one. A lot of Comic-Cons coming up too. So definitely, you know, keep an eye out for that. Between Instagram, TikTok, and our website, you should be able to find all the information that you need about the Keeg. And if you haven't followed Michael, if you haven't followed Drew, definitely follow them. That's it. I'm hungry. I'm getting out of here. I hope that everybody has had a great year and has a great New Year's Eve. I want you to drink safe, drive safe, and love safe. So, you know, play it smart out there. And I will see everybody next year. Once again, I'm your host, Dimithri Perera, and this has been the best comics of 2023. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Super strong or super fast. Gotta beat the boss and get the loot. And we got geek news.